Cheers, queers! What's on the big A agenda today, Theora?
Today, we're continuing to break down Pluto the series, scene by scene, and today we'll be starting episode 7. So we've made it to the second half of the series.
Woo!
Woo!
Oh my gosh. Definitely
we did it. This is when things start getting fun. We start getting gayer and messier, and we get scenes. This is where the magic happens, everyone.
Oh my gosh, we're about to get into, deep into it.
Just deep, yeah.
It's about time.
Things get real.
All right. Before we start, I do wanted to mention about the contest we have going on to guess how many notes that we have, because so far I only have 3 people written down who submitted answers. You can get a t-shirt if you guess how many pages our notes are, and the closest number will get a t-shirt, whatever design you want, from our store.
It's
a great time.
Keep those guesses coming, guys, because it's free. It's low stakes. Free stuff is on the line here.
Yeah, literally it costs you nothing.
Literally costs you nothing.
Hopefully. We don't know about
I know.
the whole import thing. We're learning things.
We're learning. Some countries charge you for gifts. Anyway.
Before we begin this episode, we have to get into the corrections and clownery section.
Woo! We sure do.
Yeah. And our first one is from YouTube. From @Maya_Angel. And they wrote, hey, no, not hey guys. Hi guys. I know someone who worked on the set of Pluto. And yes, film had a marker to look at. First of all, that's really cool. And do they want to come on to the podcast?
Yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, let us know if they would like to come share their experience, or if they're allowed to. We don't know about NDAs and such. So it was a Tatiana Maslany situation for film, because in Orphan Black, which is now on Netflix, if you've never seen it, go watch Orphan Black.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, go
in
watch
the US it is.
Yeah, in the US. Well, maybe other countries. I don't know. Check it out if you can. She basically had to act against herself a lot, and so before they cut her back into the scene, she would have to do scenes where she was talking to a tennis ball, because that was the eye line of where she would be when she's playing in the other scene, kind of like how you have I and scenes where they're both in the frame together. So good to know that film had something to stare at, because it would be really hard not to. So
well, what do you do? Just staring straight and not even accidentally moving her eyes to. It's insane.
Fight your own instincts the whole time. Yeah, she did a good job. So thank you for that. That was good to know.
And then the comment continues and says, also, I'm going to just say it how we say it. Namtam's name is pronounced Numtan. By the way, I'm not trying to be mean. I love you guys so much. We love you too. I can't believe you're the first person to ever bring this up to us and correct us. That's insane. Thank you for doing it, because we would have kept saying Namtam, and I keep saying Namtam in my head despite reading this comment.
Yeah. And then so that comment sparked a couple of comments. So we're just going to read the replies also, because I think they're relevant. So then
Okay, I'll say it. Prodigy CPS 8871.
There you go. Says the pronunciation is more like num, like number, and ton, like ton, or ton, like tons of. Okay, and then Maya_Angel replies, yeah, kind of. It's really just about the accent that you have, because if you're you have a Thai accent, it can be pronounced the end of the word, end of the name, ton, but with an English accent, it's tan. Okay, and then I was like, okay, this is really fascinating to me. So I was like, let me actually, it made me think of a different South Asian word that is translated into it. The problem is the English translation, honestly, and accents definitely play a role in this. I'm glad you guys brought this up, and we're kind of explaining it from the different accent point of view. Because the problem is the English language, honestly. Because from Thai, at least, my understanding of the written language in Thai is that it's the characters, because it's not an alphabet from my understanding. It's the written language explains how you pronounce the word, or the words, I guess. Whereas the English language doesn't. There's nothing to note how you're supposed to pronounce the letters. Like, in order to understand how to pronounce English words when you're reading them, it's like a mixture of like etymology, so like where the word came from, and like vibes. Like, that's how you pronounce English words. Like, I don't understand how people learn English as a second language, because it's like so chaotic, because it's just an amalgamation of a bunch of other languages. And so like some words, for example, like through, when you spell them, there's like THREW, which means I tossed something, like I physically threw it, and it makes sense, the rue. But then you have through, THROUW, and you're like, what is this? And it's like, that's a French origin word, where like the French pronunciation of vowels is different than like the English pronunciation. So it's like a hot mess. And so like sometimes we don't know how to pronounce things when it's being translated, because like there's many ways to say something when you're reading English, and it's like origin of word and vibes. And so like sometimes we just don't know when we're reading stuff. And truly, when I'm listening to something in another language, at least me, from an English speaker, English is not tonal. So like our ears are not trained to hear, like catch on to like the tones, which I know in tonal languages like Mandarin, that can change the entire word, the meaning of the word, just by the tone of that, like the vowels and stuff. And so we're not good at catching that, because like our language doesn't do that. So sometimes we just like miss it entirely, even if I hear it. And it's just like, I'm trying to get better at like listening for like the tonal stuff, because I have to like really concentrate, and then I like miss everything else. So it's really hard to like watch Thai stuff and like try and listen to the language, because like then I miss everything else that's happening. So it's a struggle.
I'm terrible at listening in general.
Huh?
I said I'm terrible at listening in general, so that's just doesn't go well.
Yeah, so like thank you for explaining this. So anyway, so like one word that popped into my mind when I was hearing this is the word Vietnam, which, you know, the country. So because like again, the way it's spelled in English is Vietnam, and that's another like tonal language. And so it made me think about that. And so I was kind of curious, like, okay, well, what's the quote unquote correct way to pronounce that in English? And I found this YouTube video. Did you listen to it, Kaitlynn, about how to correctly pronounce this word?
I didn't, but I know like the different ways that they say it.
You did or didn't?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. So I was listening to this. I was like, okay, tell me how to pronounce it. And I left the time markers if you want to listen to it. But basically, in the video, they were like, okay, if you're a British person, like in British English, it's Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Like the A is emphasized in the end, versus an American will say Vietnam, almost like it's an O, even though it's spelt with an A. So even amongst the English speakers, there isn't a consensus of how to say this one word. So it's gonna, it's gonna take us time to like correct our pronunciation of this name, because like again, we're reading it as an A, but it's pronounced as an O. But then we do that for Vietnam. So like, what is wrong with us? Is what I'm saying. English
speakers. I knew the Vietnam and Vietnam thing. That's why.
But I didn't know who was saying it, because like during the Vietnam War, like the Southern people in America would call it Nam, like as a
I thought it was a Southern thing, not the British.
So like, who is saying what? Like, it's the same word. We can't even form a consensus. English is vibes, so it's a hot mess. So we will say things.
It's whatever you want to say, basically.
Yeah. So we're trying not to be offensive to the actor and the actor's name. It's just like when we read stuff, like there's no consensus even amongst English speakers sometimes. So like, we're sorry. Okay, so Numton. We gotta just start spelling it that way. That way I can like get it in my head.
So, but like with an English accent, it's Tam. But like if we say Vietnam, would we be the Thai accent? I don't know. I'm just confusing myself.
If you're a Thai speaker, how do you say Vietnam? Let us know. Well, also like, okay, but here's the thing. Like actually in the Vietnamese language, like there's tones and they can. I'm not even gonna get into that, but basically there's a whole writing system with Vietnam where an English speaker was like, I need to learn the tones. Okay, this is actually a fun fact about Vietnam. This doesn't have to do with Pluto, but Vietnam didn't have a written language, like a consensus written language for a long period of time. And this, like, I forget who it was, like a missionary was over there or some shit, some English speaker, and was like, I want to learn the language. so he started writing the words and started coming up with a way to signify like tones so he could speak it properly. And like over time that became like the written language. So anytime you see like English letters with like these like this tonal, like the squiggles and that kind of stuff, like a missionary did that to learn the language from it because he was an English speaker. And so that they were just like, I guess we'll keep using this. So yeah, and like I've noticed in Thai, at least when some words, when they're translated into English, like English characters, the pronunciation is more like Latin pronunciations. So for example, like an affair, like Juan Viva, like we would pronounce the V's as the, but in Latin you pronounce them as W's. So if you listen to them say the name, it's like Juan Viva. They pronounce it as W's, and I'm like, oh, that's Latin. So like I don't know what how the translation works from like Thai characters to English like alphabet or the Latin alphabet. So I noticed that too. I'm like, oh, it's not even English. That's Latin, the way they're pronouncing it, because that's the other language I know. But anyway, so languages are fascinating, and thank you. Please correct us, because like again, English is a lot of vibes and it's a hot mess.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm definitely somebody who tries so hard to pronounce names correctly too, because I just find it respectful. So continue to correct us. We want to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, I have trauma when it comes to name pronunciation, because the vast majority of my life, my name was always pronounced wrong. And so I kind of was like, well, fuck you. I put no stock in pronouncing names. So like, I'm working on it. I'm sorry.
Theor and I went totally opposite ways.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happens with my spelling. And then I'm just like, all right, I have to make sure I get everyone else's names right. So see, this is just shows you how random trauma can be interpreted in different ways.
Absolutely. Like people will read my name, Theora. People will read it and be like, Theodora. I'm like, there's no D in there. I get that all the time. I'm like, it's not in that word. So English is vibes. That's all I'm saying. It's vibes. You just can add letters that aren't there. Like, think it's fine. It's a hot mess. So we're sorry.
Letters are there and you're not supposed to say them.
You're not supposed to say them, like, because it comes from French, and it's how would I know this? And anyway, so thank you for correcting us. We will do our very best to stick with the correct pronunciation of the actor's name.
Yes. We do have one more comment over from Patreon that I wanted to include from Cassiem, because we did not remember the friends' names. We didn't care to either, because they don't deserve the respect.
I will not name. There's power in names. I refuse to name them, but we will give you your credit, Cassie, for this.
Cassie says the trashy ladies are called Anne and Frank. I remember this because of the odd similarity to the name Anne Frank. And so then my brain just stuck and said that these two people are named Anne Frank. Don't know who's who, but they're just Anne Frank. But then I was telling Theora this, and I'm like, that seems like a very cruel thing to put on Anne Frank. Right. So I think I'm going to try to adopt Theora's nickname for them, which we will get there when we get there. But yeah, it seems disrespectful to the actual Anne Frank to name these people. Also disrespectful to everyone in the show to name them. So, but thank you, Cassie, for pointing that out. We refuse to name them, but they have names. Okay, and with that, we will transition into part 1 of episode 7. So this episode is really all about, at the beginning, is where we learn about just how much May knew about what was going on the whole time during this show, particularly with the I and shenanigans. And what I found interesting when I was rewatching it to prep for this was that a lot of what we learn about how May knew who I was and all that stuff was it's told in flashbacks. And in the flashbacks, we get inner monologues from May, which I didn't remember prior to prepping for this. And so I wonder what this means, because I's inner monologues and flashbacks are her journaling that May reads later, and the monologue, her thoughts, are the journal, what she's writing in the journal. So what does May's flashbacks and her inner monologues mean? I'm wondering, is she journaling on the side? Is this conversations she has with I later off screen?
I was just curious what you thought.
I vaguely remember you bringing this up before. Not during the discussions. I think it might have been while we were watching it. That's a good point. I'm like, is it her like responding to the journal entries?
Right. Because like they end up getting separated for a while, and I wonder if May ruminates and like writes in the margins of the journal like her perspective, or does she have this conversation with I later on after all of the shenanigans of the show, and they like actually talk about everything, you know? And May's like, here was my point of view. I don't know what these mean.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I just realized that because I was like, it's very evident that I's inner monologues or journal entries because we see her writing them down in some scenes, like word for word. So if you have any thoughts, like what do you think May's flashbacks and inner monologue stuff is? Because they can just show us the flashback and be like, boom, because like May's thinking about it and like, cool. But like, what do her thoughts mean? Just let us know. Okay. All right. So that's the setup from where we're about to go. We're about to travel back in time with May and kind of like get her more of her backstory and context to like what she knew when. So we head back to 2023 where lawyer May is home from work. She's actually home from that trip abroad and she's in her house. I think she's in her room in the dark having a bunch of feelings. And she's like clearly distraught because she's like rubbing her hands, digging her nails into her hand. And she's staring off to the distance and just like crying. And we get like zero context for this. Other than the fact that we see there's a save the date to Oom's wedding, which was October 7th, 2023. And it's like we're led to believe that like that's why she's upset. Which is not why she's upset right now. It's not about the wedding per se. But like I assume when May first got that save the date, she had feelings about that. You know what I mean?
I mean, if she was a human, yeah. Because this is ridiculous.
It is. It is. It really is. Because wouldn't let May go. And then she's like, here's my wedding invitation. Like, I'm sorry. The setup for just makes her look like a demon when she's not.
Seriously. But no, because like at this point, we don't even know that doesn't let May go at this point.
I know. No, I know.
So this is just like even... But like once you know that, even
it doesn't help.
It makes no sense.
No, it does not help at all. Because what we do know at this point is that May's the side piece, and it's like, is this how May figured out she's the side piece? Because sends her away. She's like, oh, by the way, I'm getting married. You're invited. Like what?
And like, was she actually invited, or on the back of it did it say you're not actually invited?
Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
It's like just for your information, I'm getting married.
Yeah, is this like semi-spoiler? What happens in somewhere somehow with the save the date? Or is more of a fuck you than an actual invitation?
I don't know, because she doesn't show up.
Like, here's the deal though, but like I wonder though, like was plan, because eventually we get point of view, was inviting May to the wedding to meet I? Like, was that plan all along? And then May doesn't show up for obvious reasons. I'm like, you have to break up with her first, You did things out of order. And so, of course, obviously, May doesn't come. May was also out of the country and, like, couldn't be at this wedding. There's a lot of reasons May wasn't there. But, like, was trying to get her to the wedding to, like, break up with her right before the wedding and then be like, by the way, I'm a twin. Here's the other one. You know what I mean? She already trying to introduce her to I at the wedding.
She already knew about the twin thing.
No, I know, but like, boom, here she is. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like get all of it done at once.
Right. Was that plan? So, just to be like,
why just shows how much did not care about this.
We don't need to do this at your wedding, though. There was like plenty of other opportunities to do. Why was the wedding plan? Like, that's like... It's like in sports where you're like waiting till the last second to shoot the ball. Like that's what was doing. It's like, girl, there was so much time. We didn't need to wait till the wedding. Anyway.
She was going for dramatic effect.
Yeah, I guess she's going for drama because, like, again, Oom's set up to be like the smart character. Like, this was wild. This was not rational.
Not like the randomly do things.
Right. Like, I is like, I'm having feelings, let's burn stuff down. Versus, you know what I mean? We get that in this episode where, like, I stole that child that burned the book in the alley when she's upset. And Oom is supposed to be the smart one, like the rational one. But anyway, I think it just goes to show that, like, when it comes to May, Oom was not rational. And that's what made May so significant to her, because a lot of the stuff surrounding May seems very out of character for Oom, and I think that speaks to the depths of, like, her feelings and her heartbreak and all that kind of stuff, which we get into later. But just, like, imagine being May getting this wedding invitation. Like, just poor May.
It's such a slap in the face, no matter what.
It really is. Okay, and so the other thing about the wedding invitation in this scene is that the wedding invitation is sitting next to May's phone. Okay, and that's because this is the fateful night of Oom's wedding. This wasn't just like she got the invitation and she's crying. This was the night of the wedding. And in the wedding, May and Oom do speak over the phone, and then the accident basically happens. So, like, we don't know that now they talked on the phone, but this is like an Easter egg for later to be like, oh, it's because they spoke on the phone. And so the camera lingers a lot on May here, where she's crying and breathing really heavy. And it's just emphasizing how upset and distraught she is right now. So, like something really bad is happening, because May is never this, like, doesn't spiral this hard unless something serious is happening. So then Ton enters the scene, and when the camera angle changes, we get a wide shot when he's coming into the room, because before we were just focusing on May, and we see, like, luggage surrounding May. And this is because May just got back from that trip overseas where she was advocating for the Lawyers Association for the disabled rights that she mentioned earlier when she talked to I, when they're first getting to know each other. And Ton's the one that picks her up from the airport. So, like, that's why they're all together here right now. But Ton enters the scene now because he's bearing bad news. And I appreciate that he comes in and leads with, May, don't blame yourself, before telling her that Paul's dead. He doesn't come in and just be like, he's dead, Oom's dying. Like, he's like, it's not your fault, just so you know. Like, I like that he had the courtesy to say something like that to her.
And show so much how much he knew her.
Yeah, he knows her and
herself up about this.
And this entire situation. Like, he knows basically everything that's really going on here. All right, and then the camera cuts to May, and it really lingers on her as she processes this horrific news. And then the first thing May says is, what about Oom? So even in this scenario, her first priority is still Oom, despite all the bullshit she goes through with Oom. She's still like, how is Oom, essentially? And Ton tells her that basically Oom's in critical condition. So she's in, like, the intensive care unit in the hospital right now. She's not dead, but she's not stable right now. So doctors are still trying to, like, save her life, essentially, actively, as they're having this conversation. And then May just, like, drops her head into her hands because, like, I mean, it could be worse. Oom could not be with us, but, like, this is still not a good situation. And Ton, she, like, drops her head in her hands because, like, this is, like, the most defeated I've ever seen May look. Like, up till this point in the show, there's a scene later with I where she's not okay the most. But, like, this is almost like rock bottom May. Like, we haven't seen her this distraught since, like, she realized she was blind for the first time. So Ton assures her that, like, again, it's not your fault, May. This, like, not your fault. But, like, I understand why she feels guilty, because she's the last person who talked to them. Both Seriously? Of them.
Yeah, like, they were getting into the car.
Yeah. And, like, without, well, like, she has the conversation with them before Paul decides to drive. Like, he decides to drive drunk because May calls. But May calls because Oom texts her. And it's like, Oom, again, you could have done this not on your wedding. This wasn't a good call on your part. But when you don't know that and you're watching this, there's the key is that, like, why does May feel so responsible for this? Like, why? So that's kind of like a mystery we find out later, because, like, they talked. Then Paul was like, I'm gonna go drive Oom. You got what the fuck? But that's
on our wedding night. You can't give me one night.
Right, you can't just give me one night. Exactly. Without the May stuff. Okay. My question, though, at this point, because Todd's coming in and being like, here's what's going on in the critical care unit of the hospital. Why does Ton know all of this? Because Ton is not working at the hospital right now. Like, who is giving him updates? And, like, how did he even know they were there?
I just assumed he was working, so I didn't think about that.
No, because he picks her up from the airport. That's why he's with her right now. He was not working. Also, like, we see him working, like, like, I don't know what exactly he does in the hospital, but, like, when he took her for the eye exam, like, he was in a clinic, like, an outpatient setting.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he's strictly an outpatient doctor. Kind of like in The Secret of Us, the way Falada worked in a clinic as a dermatologist because there's no derm emergencies on the inpatient side. So, like, although she was, like, moonlighting in the ED for some reason, but, like, she was more outpatient, and outpatient happens during business hours when people come into the clinics. People don't come into clinics at midnight. So it's nighttime. How does he know this? Is my question.
He has a friend on the inside.
I mean, obviously he has coworkers, but, like, why would they? I guess he called his hospital and he's like, is this patient here? Like, it just really seems like a huge breach of, like, doctor-patient confidentiality that's happening in this hospital for anybody to give him updates, because, like, he is not related to Paul or and he's not their treating physician. So, like, why is he getting updates about these people? Like, it seems not legal what's happening right now.
Nothing is legal in this hospital, Theor.
That's true. And May, the lawyer, is like, I mean, she's out of it right now, but, like, never questions, like, this was giant, hugely illegal what you're doing, Todd.
Oh my gosh. No,
anyway, I have to bring that up because later he goes and
too much.
Evaluates in the ICU. And I'm like, what are you doing? It doesn't matter. Okay, but this right now is weird. So doesn't matter. So then May is distraught. He's trying to talk to her. And she's like, this never should have happened. Which, yeah, should have broken up with you a long time ago.
That is very true. And, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what should never happen. Like, is she talking about the accident with and Paul? Or is she talking about her entire relationship with because was never the person that she was supposed to be with?
Yeah, there's a whole breadth of this never should have happened. It never should have been That would avoid everything. The accident shouldn't have happened. The phone call between May, and Paul also should have never happened, because that was basically the match strike that lights the fire that is this accident. But, like, this was simmering for a really long time because of the whole is not I situation, basically. So, yeah. What does May mean? Probably everything, because, like, those series of unfortunate events led us here. A series of misunderstandings led us here, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just want to take a moment to talk about all the filming and, like, the techniques that they use throughout this scene, because they did such a great job. So we first open the scene with a high angle panning from save the date to May's face. And again, what a slap in the face to get to save the date to this wedding.
Seriously.
And this high angle just indicates that she's feeling vulnerable and weak. And it's confirmed in the next shot when we get a tear streaming down her face. And every angle in the beginning is conveying that May is feeling weak and vulnerable, not just this one shot. Because even when Ton arrives and gets on her level, he's towering over her. So she is not in the position of power at all in any of these shots.
No, she's small.
She looks even smaller than normal in these shots. And because especially with when Ton sits down to bring himself lower, he is huge in this frame because he's closer to the camera.
Well, yeah. Perspective.
Yeah. But backing up a little bit, another interesting shot is when Ton walks into the room, because May is completely in the shadows and there's barely any light in this room. But there is light beaming into the room, and it's falling on Ton, because right now he's the only source that could bring her back hope and, like, good news. Like, maybe he could bring in the light. But he doesn't, but he could. And then another thing they use in this scene is that after Ton tells May it's not her fault, the camera becomes handheld. I don't know if they were handheld the whole time or if it was like they just did it for this one part, because
I don't remember, to be honest.
It's very subtle. And the only reason I noticed it was because I was watching it on 2 times the speed and it was like shaky. And then I slowed it down because I do that for parts and noticed that it's still there because obviously I did see it shake, but it's so subtle, but it just adds to like the intensity of May's feelings and the uneasiness that she's feeling.
Yep.
And coincidentally, it becomes the shakiest as May says the line, "It never should have happened." So I just thought that was very interesting and a interesting way to play with the camera angles and movement.
Yeah. Again, they do a good job at like point of view and then using all their techniques in their arsenal to really emphasize that. And I like why you highlighted that Ton comes in and has light on him because like there is hope because isn't dead. Is they're actively trying to save her life. So like that is hope in the darkness. So
something.
That's something. All right. Well, we all know that just ends up in a coma because Chow really loves comas. She loves throwing her characters into comas and letting chaos happen while they're in comas. So anyway, so then we go from so basically that to summarize, that was how May learned that Paul was dead and was in a coma. So like she knew was in the ICU. Okay, then we flash forward from there to Ai's first attempt at cosplaying So this is when Ai shows up after having the argument with at the wedding. And she's like, "You want me to break up with your side piece? That's insane, And then she's like, "Fuck, I guess I have to do it because in a coma." And then she shows up in clothing and in the heels that she's clearly uncomfortable in. And she's trying to go to May's. And so she's outside of May's house and she rings the like doorbell, which has CCTV cameras. Okay, so there's CCTV stuff going on at May's house. We learned that from this. And we learned that the maid was 100% suspicious of Ai from the first moment she sees Ai because the maid was watching her on camera being fucking weird in heels, which we see at the wedding. was dancing in heels. This bitch is over here. She can't even stand still on them. And the maid's like, "What the fuck is happening? Why is being weird?" She's like, "But I guess." So then the maid goes off, is like, "All right, I gotta tell the lady of the house." So like she walks away. And then we cut over to Ton. So like while Ai's being weird, showing up at the mansion for the first time in the first episode. This is the first episode replaying from May's point of view. While Ai's showing up cosplaying her sister, Ton is on the phone with May. And Ton, based on the image of him, it looks like he's in the ICU because those are the private ICU rooms with the sliding doors that we see Ai go into later. The VIP section for like critically ill patients. He's in the ICU. So I assume he just went and looked at was like, "Here she is. I'm reading her vitals. I'm reading her chart." I think that's what he did. So like now he's just at the hospital snooping on other people's patients. Like, sure. But this makes more sense of like why he knows what's going on with because he like literally just went and saw her versus like people randomly calling him. But anyway, so he checks someone who's not his patient and then calls May, who's not related to They're just breaking all kinds of HIPAA laws here. And which I don't know if that exists in Thailand, but I would assume something exists.
Some sort of laws have to protect these people.
Because you have to get like consent from family members to operate on people. Like I assume when it comes to divulging medical information, there's also laws. I just don't know the specifics, but this all seems really shady what they're doing. But anyway, he's on the phone with May telling her how is doing. And he's basically like, okay, she's stable. So like they've stabilized her. She's not in life-threatening condition, but she's in a coma because Chow Planoy wrote the story and she loves comas. Am I wrong? She loves comas.
No, it just makes me laugh every time you bring it up.
She just loves them. Okay, and then literally, as May is hanging up the phone with Ton after this update, the maid then comes in and she's like, "Hey, here." So
Okay.
So May is like, that's literally impossible. She's unconscious in the hospital with Ton, who's with her right now. And the maid's like, well, unless awkwardness is an illness, I think Oom's outside and she's healthy. She's just being really weird.
So who's lying?
Right. So then May processes this for a second and realizes that the she's been looking for all along is finally fucking here, because May already knows Oom's a twin. And then she's like, oh, somebody who looks like but literally cannot be because she's in a hospital is here. Sadness gone. And immediately, like, fuck She's immediately happy.
Yeah.
Poor
can stay in her coma.
She's like, okay, whatever. Oom's in a coma. But I's here. Okay. So then May's like, all right, maid, please let the awkward inside. And then we then transition to adult I and May's first meeting from May's point of view, because we had their first meeting as adults, which was the whole May coming down the staircase and like May kissing I and like that. We get that from May's point of view now. Okay, and if you want I's point of view, go back to episode 1 when we recapped episode 1, because we did that strictly from I's point of view, because like that's the scene we were given from I's point of view. This is May's point of view. And now it's more interesting to have this information, because this interaction, when you break it down from May's point of view, what makes it different is that May knew this was Oom's twin sister the whole time. Not
Which, again, is insane. But anyway, since we're back to this scene, I wanted to mention something that I saw on TikTok, because I was actually sad as soon as I saw it. I was like, oh no, I could have brought this up. And I was like, oh wait, we get the scene again. So I don't know if you saw this video, Theora, but the user at Screenwriter Husband on TikTok was teaching his wife about staircases and their meaning in film. And he's a screenwriter, so he's like literally lives these things. And he said that every single time, without fail, if there is a staircase in a film and someone is walking up it, talking to someone below, they are giving them a command or they are taking control of the scene. And he used this as an example when they were watching The Princess Diaries. And it's a really good, I recommend checking out the channel, because you do learn quite a bit of random things about film and different techniques they use. But that made me think about this stairs scene, because we have May start at the very top and walking down to meet I where she is. And when she's at the top of the stairs, May is in control here because she has all the power, knowing that this is I. I has no control right now.
I has no power in any of these scenes.
No. We have shown that with our murder board that we made for our After Dark episode on Patreon.
I had no power in the show.
Got nothing. She's got 2 lines, and that's because we had to make it one just so she would actually
do 2 things.
That Pluto is a planet. That's one of them, by the way. Anyway, so as May comes down the stairs, she starts to relinquish the power that she has to meet I where she is, because like we have said multiple times on this podcast, I is the unknown in May's life. And so she's bringing herself on the same playing field as I when she meets her, because she doesn't know I really. And this is where they both have to get to know each other. The only upper hand that she has here is that she does know who this is.
Yep. I mean, the upper hand that I has is that May's been in love with her for years. And so really that gives I a bunch of power that she doesn't even know that she has in this scene. Because I doesn't actually know what's happening, even though things are happening, right? Which makes breaking down these scenes from different point of views very fun. But like, I does have a degree of power here, because May is like literally like, oh, I've been waiting for you, for so long. Anyway, so what happens? We start from like May walking down the staircase. They do that like choreography that I love, and she stops when she hears her name. So if you think about it, like this is the first time ever that May hears I say her name, is this moment. And if you listen to the way I speaks and the way speaks, like they speak differently. Their tones are different. Like I seems to have more of like a street slang kind of harsher way that she speaks versus is a little bit sounds more like refined and like elegant. And that makes sense because of like the, was in like private school. I was in public school. Like I was in a motorbike gang, and like was like elevating in herself. She was interacting more with high society as a hostess and things like that, or air hostess, So it makes sense that their speech patterns are a little bit different based on their life experiences. So like, I think that May is getting a lot, even though May can't see, which sucks. Like there's clues that like beyond the fact that is in a coma, that like, this is not like this is like the person who like defended her against bullies essentially when she was younger, which we'll see in as part of it in a second. So she like, and that's kind of why she lights up in the scene, because she's like, oh, this isn't like it really is. Like it's like she's the Office meme where she's like, it's happening. Oh my god, it's happening. Like that's what's going on in May right now. Like it's finally happening. Okay, so then May, like we saw before, she gravitates towards because she's following the voice, and is standing there confused because the situation is fucking weird for And then we get May's inner monologue here where she says, finally, I've met the one I truly love. And so when May touches like to find her, okay, and then says, it's really you, what she's saying is, it's really like, it's really Ioun's the person I've been looking for this whole time, not So like, without the context, like, again, these two are having a conversation here, and they're not having the same conversation because what each character knows is actually important to like how they're communicating. So it's really fun to watch this whole scene from May's point of view, because she knows it's and she's like, oh, it's really you. And is like, fuck, I'm supposed to be oh my god. Okay, so thankfully we don't continue with the scene now. I don't remember if we get the rest of it. This might be the only part we get from May. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But we transition into when they were kids, and basically how they've met for the very first time. But before we get there, I just want to like keep going on the scene for a little bit more, because like, remember what happens in the scene is that May just kisses basically, right? And that's the thing that changed life forever. I think in the novel they do talk about it, and they're like, why did you kiss me? Like, if you knew it was me. And I'm pretty sure May was like, listen, I knew that was the only move I had to like get you to stay with me forever, is if I just had to go for it. That's the only card I had to play. And I knew that if I was so confident that if I kissed you, you would never leave me. And it worked. It's like, remember, always fixated on the kiss, because May in her brain was like, oh my gosh, I got nothing. I just got to make her stay. So she just goes for like, she doesn't even know if this girl's into her. She's just like, I got to get this twin, because this is the twin that I want. So she's like, I'm going all in. And then she's like, I knew you were mine the minute you started kissing me back. I just met you for the second time. So like, I mean, she's also been
thinking about doing this for years. So,
but like, how wild is that move to be like, we haven't really had a conversation. I'm just going to start making out with her and see what happens. You know what I mean? What a move. And it worked, because like, I fixated on that kiss for a very long time. But like, that's partially why May didn't kiss her again after that, because she was like, I was just trying to get you interested, and then we would get to know each other. Nobody does things in the correct order in the show. Been hanging out with too long.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so then we go flashback even further to when May recalling the first time she actually met And so basically in the scene that we see May and as like teenagers. They're in like high school uniforms, and they're both like kneeling on the ground essentially, and is handing books over to May. And they're wearing different school uniforms. So they didn't go to the same school. They're in different uniforms, and is like helping May collect her books that were on the ground. We don't have the context later, but we get it later. And then okay, but like, I understand why May had her vision. Okay, and I understand why May was like intrigued just from this piece, because hands her the books, and then raises her eyebrow like she's challenging her in this like flirtatious way. So like, obviously May's gonna be like, oh, this is interesting. You know what I mean? Because is like flirting with her without realizing it, because she's
naturally flirty.
Yeah.
And like, super gay.
this was unnecessary, ma'am. Like, obviously, she's going to be very smitten with this because you're like doing chivalrous shit, like picking up her books, and then you're like, come on, grab the books without saying it. And then May's like, okay. Okay. And then it's like, okay, how do we get here? Because, like, then we get the answer for the root cause of all these shenanigans. Because May's like, who is this? And so she goes to look at the embroidery of the name, because in Thailand, they embroider their names on their uniforms. And then we get the root cause of all the shenanigans. So let us go back to episode 1, where we get the scene with I and as teenagers on the roof bickering. And I was like, fuck you, we're not so different as you think we are. I'm going to prove it. She steals school uniform and goes and wears it to school. And then we get the scene after that. We don't see what I does at the time. And then we get a jump cut to coming home in her school uniform with a black eye. And she's like, fuck you, you wore my uniform to school and now got me in trouble. And like, so this is what I was doing when she stole uniform. She went and met May and got into an altercation with some bullies. And we get that full scene later. And pays the price every time for these two shenanigans. Poor is at the expense of the I and May drama without realizing
that is
it.
True. I also want to just say how sucky it is that they switched places on a field trip day.
I know.
Because like the best days of school, and then I takes that away from her.
Well, no, I think they were at school. I don't think it was a field trip day. I thought it was
the planetarium.
Because they were in Bangkok. I think their school is near the planetarium because they're in Bangkok. Okay. May was coming from Korat as the field trip to Bangkok. And like, that's where goes to school. And their private schools were in some competition. So it was like, she was at school. Fucking I. When we get the whole scene later, it's hilarious. What I was actually doing, which was like, definitely not pretending to be But
no, not at all.
No, I was like, girl. Anyway, so the ultimate irony here is that May did meet I at this time period as teenagers. She reads the name that says and then spent a decade thinking this interaction was with So great job, I. You were a better spy as a teenager than you were as an adult. All right, so then after the name, which is really cute. I like this scene. So May reads it, and then we cut back to May, and May's like mumbling to herself, like she's trying to memorize this name, which is so cute because, I mean, again, I was like charming in the scene. She's like, I gotta remember who the fuck this is. Poor And then May's fate sealed forever when she looks up and looks at I, and I's like smiling at her. And so like that was the end. May was gone since that moment. And who pays the price? Who pays the price of all of this? It's so fun.
Pays the price. And
she does.
No, think about it. The ultimate price.
Think about it. How did this start? We started with is in a car accident because of May and I's bullshit. And then if you go back to when they were teenagers, gets beaten up by bullies because of I and May's bullshit. like she gets Plutoed really hard in the show and like pays physical and mental prices for it. It's so fun.
You are not wrong.
I know. Poor poor All right. I'll cry more about later, but here we go. Okay, so those are the flashbacks. And then we go back to the present and kind of pick up where the last episode left off, which is the conclusion of I and May's road trip. So they were driving to Korat to go to Ploy's restaurant opening. And where we pick up here is I's parking the fancy AF car outside of Ploy's restaurant. And the car like stops. And of course, classic I doesn't say anything, of course. So May doesn't move. She's just sitting there like, are we at a stoplight? What's happening? She's just sitting still, like, because I didn't say anything. So then what May does register is the fact that I goes and unbuckles her seatbelt because I's a gentlewoman. But May's like, I guess we're here. You got to communicate with your blind girlfriend. Like, sometimes, like, girl, like, come on.
But I don't think, like, May has ever told her that, hey, you really need to start saying shit.
I know, that's true. That's true. It's also on May because she also doesn't be like, can you for fuck's sake stop giving me heart attacks and just tell me stuff?
Like, do you remember that I'm blind? Oh yeah, May, of course I know you're blind. Okay, well, can you start, like, explaining things that we do?
Yeah. Like, we're here. No. Anyway, I just had, like, the fact that you pointed that out, and then it just now I register it every time I does shit. But I liked your comment you made. I don't know if it was last episode or episode before that, where you're basically like, well, I treats her like everybody else. So it's like kind of a flattering thing, but also it's like May can't see I. Like, you need to tell her stuff sometimes.
There's some accommodations that are needed here.
Yeah, exactly. Let's find balance here, shall we? We don't, but it's fine. I does it sometimes when she's like thinking about it. But anyway,
yeah.
May feels the seatbelt slackening. She hears the click, and then she has an inkling of what's going on. And then I's like, "We're here, thanks, I." So then May tries to call Ton real quick to let him know they're there. You know, he's her like emergency contact, but can't get. She opens the phone and she's like, touching it. And she's like, why the hell won't my phone cooperate with me? And then I, in the spirit of being helpful and probably nosy, takes a look and then like takes the phone and starts pressing some buttons. And she's like, oh, your phone's dead. Okay. Which we knew at the end of the last episode that her phone was dying. Hence why he couldn't get into contact with her when he was calling her. But this is interesting because like that was the start of the trip. Now they're all the way in Korat, which is, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's far. They had to drive there. So this means that May didn't check her phone once during the road trip. So that could mean that like she was distracted by her mission to be like, I'm gonna tell I the truth. Or that she's distracted by the fact she's gonna see her horrible friends. Or it could mean that I had so much fun on this road trip with I was really relaxed to be with her that she didn't even think about checking her phone. Think about it, like workaholic May didn't like
that's true.
Check her email. You know what I mean? Like that's
There's
interesting.
Just so much going on right now for her.
But like, could be she was distracted. Could be that like they had a good time on the car.
Yeah.
Okay, then be the complete gentlewoman that she is. I is like, oh, do you want to use my phone to call Ton? And then May's like, nah, he's not that important. It's fine. Okay, May. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's get out of the car. Like, she's probably gonna get out and like open May's door and do it because she's doing all the chivalrous shit right now. But then May physically stops her. She's like, no, like grabs her hand and she's like, air quotes. And then I gives her full attention. And May asks, can you please always stay by my side? And so, like, obviously to I, in the context of where they are, she's like, okay, stay with me while I go do this scary thing with these scary people in my social circle. And I was like, this was I's idea. She's like, I wanted you to come here. Obviously, I'm going to be right by your side the whole time because I know you're afraid. But obviously, this is May. Anytime she says something, there's always subtext to it. And so this is like really, I think on the road trip, May was really distracted by the fact that like the consequence of telling I the truth. And so like, because at the root of her fear is losing I permanently. So I think that's what's coming out here. She's like, you know, please don't leave me ever. But then I hear is like, please don't leave me because my friends are horrible. Like, don't judge me because of who they are. Just don't leave me.
No. May's always talking about the future too.
Always.
Like she holds on to that hand very tightly. And then I is like the smoothest she's ever been in her life.
She is.
Because she immediately tells May, I've never once thought of leaving you. And I think we need to hydrate for a lesbian Jesus for that line. Because with no hesitation, I think that qualifies as big gay energy.
Yeah, there's your big gay energy award. Oh, I, in this car, being chivalrous. Big gay energy. Also, I trying to burn down the restaurant for May. Big gay energy.
I get stupid gay energy.
Listen, it was for her girlfriend.
Oh my guys, it does not excuse that, Tiara. Anyway, we'll get there. But anyway, this is exactly what May needed to hear. However, it doesn't seem like May fully believes it because, like, she can't fully let herself believe it, at least. Because in her response, she says, if that's truly what you think, because it's almost as if she can't believe that I never thought about leaving her, or at least won't think about it once she's fully honest with her. So, because you never know.
Well, because like I has tried to put distance between them, but again, it's not because I has thought of leaving her. It's because I felt obligated to leave her because she's Ooms in her head. So like, even though was like, go break up with her for me, which we keep forgetting about. We keep forgetting
I feel like I keep forgetting that she was supposed to break up with her for so then technically she could be like, hey, I'm not I'm not I'm actually I, and wants to break up with you, but I'm I, so can we be together?
Right. That would solve everything. And May would be like, yes, girl, that's what I wanted the whole time. And the show would be over.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like, I has tried to like ditch May before. So like, again, like for I to say that is not entirely true, but really I has never wanted to leave May. Is it wanted is a better word than like, I've never thought about it. Cause like you have had thoughts, we've seen your journals, even though you scratched it out of your journal. Or you're like, I have to leave this girl. So you've thought about it. That was a lie. But anyway, it's okay. I love before I delivers the line. I've never once thought of leaving you. Her body language says it all though, because like she adjusts her body language after she hears the question from May, where she's like squared up to where she's like fully facing May and like is on May's eye level, looking directly into May's eyes. Again, this is not for May's benefit. This is just Ai's body language telling us exactly how seriously she means what she's saying. Because like Ai's a goner and like would literally do anything May asked her to do, which is like the truth of it. Even if she had to pretend to be her entire life, like she would do it to keep May, basically. And I love May's response because May has such a huge, genuine smile. And, you know, May's been in her feels about like going to this restaurant debut and like telling Ai the truth. And like, it's nice to see a relaxed, genuine, happy smile from May. And you think about Ai is like very intently watching May have this reaction. So it must be a really incredible feeling for Ai to witness May react to her true feelings like this. And I think that this question, this reaction from May is what emboldens Ai a lot during this trip, because Ai takes like promises to people really seriously. And this is almost like a promise, like promise you'll stay by my side the entire time and like be with me in all sense of the word. And Ai's like, forever is basically what she says. And so she takes that shit to heart when we like get into the scene. And then this confession from Ai relaxes May, like I said, a little bit. And she admits that if this is truly how Ai feels, then like that would make May really, really happy. Cause like again, May is nervous about telling Ai the truth because she has some PTSD from when found out you're not the twin I'm looking for, and it did not go well. And so with Ai, May feels like there's a lot more to lose because there's no like a triplet, you know, they could be the person she's looking for. Like this is the end of the road. So if this doesn't go well, she could lose everything.
There was 3 of them and she had to keep doing this.
That would suck so bad. Could you imagine? Oh my god. Poor Mima. I should have raised triplets. Jesus. All right. That would fuck over everything. But anyway, so that's what's going on here. But honestly, though, like what's wild is that like May really has nothing to worry about because the two of them already had this conversation in that product placement scene at the end of the last episode where they were basically like, let's get married one day. Like that was the subtext of that whole product placement scene. So like we already established it's fine. Like you guys are good. And then here, but it's like, here's May being untethered and nervous and needs reassurance because that's very human, right? Okay, so back to the car. So I responds basically being like, if you really meant that would mean the world to me. And I is basically like, if you want me, I'm yours forever. And she says it in her Ai-un voice, so it's very like warm and like from the heart kind of thing, which really emphasizes it. And honestly, in this scene, because I mean, she just got the big gay energy award 5 seconds ago. Like, it's kind of insane that Ai has never had a girlfriend before because she's so good at wooing women. Like, it's kind of insane.
Oh my
like,
god.
She's not even trying in this scene.
She just speaks from the heart, and she's so genuine. That
voice, man, it's so warm.
Just girl, I love you.
God damn it, So then, obviously, after hearing this, May needs to touch I very intimately because obviously. And so she does the thing where she runs her hand up I's arm, like tracing her arm to try to get to her head and like thread her hands through I's hair because I has very nice hair. So good job, May, obviously. And I love I in the scene because I is very patient while May does this. And she just sits very still and lets May do it while staring at May with hard eyes. And it's like, if May could see I, the show wouldn't exist because like the amount of times she's just like staring at May looking like a goner, like there wouldn't be a show because like just look at her face.
I mean, I guess May could think like, oh, she's just a really good actress, but like I's a terrible spy, so
right. We've proven she's a bad actor. Immediately, the maid's like, the maid, she shows up day one. They're like, is being weird. Like, immediately. Just, cover was blown. Immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, so then May's not done demonstrating her affection and getting her feelings out. So then she leans up to kiss I on the forehead, and I very sweet because May can't see. This is obviously slow because like she has to like find I and then position her so that she can do this. And I is really cute because she like knows what May is doing, and again is very patient, just letting May do it. And she very sweetly closes her eyes before May kisses her on the forehead. So it's like again a reflection of how I feels. I's like I want to savor that kiss I know is coming because a kiss from her is like the greatest thing on the planet, right? It's really cute. Like the way I feels is adorable, and the way she expresses that. And like I need to eat a lime for this scene because it's just way too sweet. Like fucking hell. Where's Big Nung when you need her?
With the limes. Oh, limes all around, please.
There's so many limes for this part. Okay, so then after she gets her little forehead kiss, I opens her eyes and watches May smile. Again, like I just like feeding off of like, again, the emotions coming off of May, because May is cagey with her emotions most of the time. And in this moment with this question and answering thing that they're doing, May's unguarded. And so like, again, every time May has a genuine emotion and expresses it, that emboldens I. So then that's how we get to this part of the scene. So then May's like, or I's like, well, this is in her brain. She's like, well, she just gave me a forehead kiss. Maybe I can get one of those magical, life-changing lip kisses from her. And she like looks at her lips and she's like, okay. And she gets real bold. And then she starts angling her head like she's thinking about initiating a kiss. Because remember, I has not done that yet. It's always been May. And so like that's a big step for I to be like, I'm gonna initiate a kiss with May because she hasn't done that yet. That's bold.
That is big. But if you thought that the forehead kiss was slow, this is the slowest kiss ever. And this is where we get another instance of I being really slow at something and May just being left there to wonder what the hell is going on. Because May can feel that I is leaning in because her hand is on her head. But then nothing happens. And again, May is just so patient, just letting it happen. Because again, you can't spook I.
No.
She's about to do something that May also really wants. But she really wants to kiss I. And this is going really, really slow. So eventually, she does start to just lean in herself to finish the job. But of course, gay disaster I honks the horn, disrupting the gayness. So negative big energy points.
Whoa, okay, you can't, no. Hold on here. There's a reason this is going so slow, okay? Because I's nervous. Okay, because she's never felt empowered to initiate a kiss with May before. Because again, she's always in her head about, does she want this and that? And now she's living in the shadow of right? And she was never sure what May really wanted. She's like, is it my sister or me? I don't know. And nobody's come clean with the truth, obviously, but we've gotten to a point where May has dropped some very obvious hints that like this is the one she wants, right? So now I feel a lot more confident that the feelings here are actually mutual and have nothing to do with right? And also like so there's the nervousness, and then there's also, because like she's never done this before, and then there's also the fact that like I cares about consent from May. And so it's really hard to get consent from May when she thinks you're another person. So there's that. But I think even if it's just them, right, with no facades or whatever, I want consent from May. And she's not going to ask her, can I? I mean, she could. And May would be like, yes. But she doesn't, because I never talk. So she's an action person. So there's a moment during this really slow lead up where I pauses and looks at May's face, because right, she was just like looking at her lips and then like angling in, right? And then she pauses to look at May's face. I think that's her checking for consent kind of thing, right? She's like, does she want me to stop? Because like she can feel me moving. And like May's just like, please do it. Because like, again, from May's point of view, to your point, like obviously she cares about I's consent too, which is why she's not like, and she's aware that like, this is, this situation is messy for I, because I doesn't know the truth of all of this. And she's being patient here because, again, I think May desperately wants I's feelings for her to be true. That's why she asked her, like, hey, you're telling me you'll never leave me. And if you really mean that, that would really mean the world to me. Because she still doesn't know, are you saying this because you're cosplaying Or are you saying this because you mean this? Like, so like she wants I's feelings for her to be genuine. So what's more genuine than I initiating a kiss that's not necessary for her to pretend to be right? She doesn't need to kiss her to pretend to be because that's never happened. And like the thing is successful, which is not. But anyway, so I think a test of like, does she actually like me is I initiating a kiss. So I think that's why May doesn't just like pull her in by the neck. She's grabbing, because she can just be like, oh my God, but like, she doesn't do that to speed this up because she wants I to do it as a confirmation that I likes me kind of thing. I's feelings are real. But then poor I like loses herself in the moment so deeply that her elbow resting on the steering wheel sabotages her. But like that's a testament to how like I was just in her feelings and not paying attention to her, where her elbow was. And then this is cute though, because they both knew what was going to happen, right? And then they're startled by the noise. First of all, I love that I swears. Again, if you needed any more confirmation, this isn't here's this whole episode. This is definitely not So they get startled. I start swearing, and then I love that they both devolve into like nervous. Like their nervous energy comes out as giggles, which is really, again, that's really cute, and that's very like real, right? Where like laughter breaks the tension kind of thing. And then surprisingly, a big gay energy I just like leans back into May's face and she's like, should we continue or we just left off? Because you knew it was happening, right, May? I knew it was happening. And like, so let's just do it. Clearly, I was hydrating for Lesbian Jesus during the road trip because damn girl, where did all of this flirtatious energy just come from? Where did all these smooth lines come from? Like where?
Her face looks so dreamy.
Listen, I mean, again, May's bold move of like, I'll kiss her and change the course of things worked. And then
she is the mastermind.
She is. And May, who's into it, and without missing a beat, leans towards I back into her space and is like, and here I is thinking like, yes, May is flirting with me. Lesbian Jesus heard my prayer. She's going to kiss me. It's going to be magical. And then May's like, we can't. I starts pouting like a toddler that just had her favorite toy taken away from her. She's like, what the hell? And May's like, hi, girl. She's like, if something starts here, it's going to get very out of control. Okay, you know that, I know that. So let's rain check this until we're alone in our shared bedroom tonight. And like, damn. When these two decide to go all in, like they go all in with their feelings, okay? And I just really love that in the scene, I and May match each other's energy and thirstiness. And it's very nice to see, because usually they're not on the same level with their flirtiness. So then I love that I's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then does the least sexual thing she can think of, which is to pat May on the head. Like, girl. She goes 100 to 0 in this scene. Good job, I.
Love you, I. I love you so much.
That's hilarious. Okay, so they get out of the car, okay? And then I starts, remembers that May's blind, and then to start explaining what she sees, right? Because again, she does know, and she's like poetically describing like everything about what they're seeing. And she's like, hey, it was pretty close to what I set up for you. Way to brag.
It's like, I did a great job, May.
And by I mean Pang and Jan did a great job.
Great job, guys.
Yeah. And just like that experience where she set up, an entire restaurant so that May could have the experience, like I is very committed here at The Real Deal to make sure that May gets the best experience out of being at Ploy's restaurant debut. So like she literally does everything in her power to make sure that like May is comfortable and like gets everything described to her and like is able to experience everything about it. So I just stick to that, which is really, again, when I makes a promise, she does her best to stick to it. Like truly, it's just one of her character traits. And I think that like in general, she's like that. But I think in this situation in particular, I knows May is scared because May confessed that. And so she's even like more aware that she needs to do everything in her power to make this special for May because she convinced May to come here, right? And then in the scene right here where they're like outside the door, but like approaching, May admits that the people here are what's making her nervous. And we'll see why in a minute.
See why she's completely right to feel this way.
She's absolutely correct. And I very sweetly rubs May's hand and does everything in her power to be May's #1 fan and protector at this event, proving she's girlfriend material the whole time. But
best girlfriend.
While I was so fixated on May's needs, and May's experience, she forgot her cell phone in the car. Okay. And then Ploy shows up and she's like, hey guys, you're here. Great. And I was like, fuck it, my phone's in the car, I guess, because where else would it be? And May's like, it's okay. Go get the phone. So May's gotten to a place where she's like, I know you're not using this as an excuse to get out of here. Like you can go.
You're not going to disappear and leave me here for 2 days.
She could be lying and she leaves her for 2 days and then comes at the end of the event and be like, I don't know. Here I am. Free car. Like she just could just like steal her card. Like do whatever. But she doesn't. And she's like, it's okay. You can go. Because I's nervous. She's like, do I care about the phone? Well, who's calling you? I guess Boom's in a coma. Maybe like you want your phone for that.
Mima
but like
and
Mima. I think there's Mima. She's like, if Mima needs me, I need to have the phone. So yeah, that's fair. But like I's torn between, I guess this is the turning point. Like I's torn between family and then being there for May. May's like, it's okay. You can leave me for 5 minutes. 5, not 2 days. Go get the phone. Ploy's here. Ploy can lead me inside the restaurant. And it's obvious that like I didn't want to have to make this choice because like when Ploy steps in to guide May, like I looks pissed off. Like just look at her face. It's like jealousy mixed with disappointment. Like in her, she's jealous that Ploy gets to do it, and then like is disappointed in herself because she's like, we just got here and I'm already failing you at like not leaving your side because I physically have to leave your side to get the phone. My dumbass left in the car. These bitches are not, they're the kind of people who like don't give a shit about their phones. You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, I left my phone at home. Like, I'm married to somebody who's like that, who's like, I don't even know where my phone is right now. Like, that's these two. We've just seen their cell phone carriage is really bad. They don't charge them. They leave them at cars. Like, these two are, imagine them going places
One
together.
of you has to be good with your phone.
I'm saying
you have to.
Somebody has to be aware. You need it for emergencies and navigation sometimes. Like somebody has to take care of the cell phones. I hope they figure that out one day. But for now, they share a brain cell when it comes to phones.
This is why Tan was is May's ride or die, because Tan's like, I got the phone.
Right. And maybe he'll be the one that like gets them to like remember. Anyway. So while I head to her car, hopefully for just those 5 minutes, Ploy leads May inside and announces that the quote it girl has arrived to the terrible twosome from the hospital flashback, whose names I will not be saying. So Ploy is very cheery and upbeat, like when she brings May in. And from this interaction, I get the sense that Ploy is like she fulfills the role of like the peacemaker of this group based on her behavior. Okay, she has ulterior motives we'll get into in this specific scenario, but she seems like she's the one who's more like, I don't want to rock the boat. I want to keep the peace of the group kind of situation. Because like if you go back to the hospital flashback scene, the terrible twosome were antagonizing May, and like Ploy didn't step in to stop anything. She was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Everybody's upset. Anyway, yeah. So Ploy mentions that she brought everybody here today, like mainly her friends. Okay, so that quote, things will go smoother for May tomorrow at the actual opening, which is kind of weird because she could have just done this with just May, but then she brings the terrible twosome here, which is
I think weird. She knew that they were going to cause the most issues, so if they can get the issues out in the open now,
that's valid.
Then maybe tomorrow would go better.
Yeah. But I think like, yeah, I think that's valid. This is like Ploy's way of like assuaging May's fear and making her comfortable, because again, Tan came in and told Ploy like really why May was upset. And I think this is just reflective of the fact that like Ploy took that to heart when he told her that. She didn't just like dismiss Tan, because like in that conversation with him, she was having big feelings and was like upset because she felt like took it personally how May was reacting to the opening. But I think she like reflected on it, took time, and then changed her mind. So I guess showing that like Ploy is somebody who's capable of changing her mind. It just like takes her time, which we do see play out in this episode also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the terrible twosome's greeting towards May reminded me, like it was giving me flashbacks to when they visited May in the hospital, because they immediately say May, but give no indication of who's saying it. And again, this is May walking into a room that she's never been in before and not knowing who's actually there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like Ploy is showing her improvement, like by telling May exactly who is there and like setting all this up just to make sure that she's comfortable at the actual event. But again, like she has a lot to learn. Like don't get us wrong, like she's not even perfect in this episode, but she's showing that she has been making progress and trying to grow, and that's all you can really ask for, especially in this friend group.
Yeah, especially in this friend group. Yeah, well, I mean, it goes like, here we go. Like, they who must not be named in this scene are acting exactly the same as when they first learned their friend is blind, and just being like, hey, not now. Like, you know, they're the worst. She doesn't remember your voices. You didn't pick up that the first time. Like, she doesn't interact with you enough to have your voice memorized. Ego much?
Or care to.
After Ploy guides May to her seat, the terrible twosome give each other these "this is a joke" kind of like looks. And then they proceed to be very condescending, but in like a polite society kind of way, with like compliments that are really, you know, knives in the dark kind of shit. It's like, oh, bless your heart, May. You need us to all be here to support you and hold your hand. And Ploy did all this just for you. She must be trying to get with you again. What a gentlewoman. Like, fuck these women, first of all. And May shuts this shit down. She's like, bitch, I have a girlfriend. No.
And the terrible twosome, like, they have the nerve to look wildly surprised about this. Because, like, yeah, I get that May didn't tell them beforehand that she had a girlfriend, but the way that they react make it look like it wasn't even, like, a possibility that she could have gotten a girlfriend.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I will say that. I have thoughts.
And They're just awful. And then when I shows up, their reactions aren't much better.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There's a bunch of classes of shit and social ladder climbing crap going on here. So here's the deal. So the terrible twosome are being subtly confronted with the fact that they aren't as important to Ploy and May as they think they are. Okay, because as you can see, there's a whole lot of ego going on with these two, right? So here's the deal. So what did they learn since May waltzed into this restaurant, right? Ploy did this whole pre-debut thing just for May. So she opened the kitchen early, set up this restaurant, invited these two and May just for May. Okay? Meaning that Ploy prioritizes May in a huge way, right? May told, because then May lets it drop that she has a girlfriend. Does Ploy look surprised? No. So that indicates that May told Ploy, not them, about her personal life. So it's not that May was being private with this. She just didn't tell them. She told Ploy. And here's the deal. So we have now left the world of like May's isolation. We have left the world of her motorcycle gang, Mima, all of them. And we are now into the upper echelons of society, where power and status are tied to money and secrets. And so on some level, the terrible twosome feel threatened by being out of the loop because that means they have less social power, right? And they're all about that because they're trying to wield that I'm important because I have money and I married rich. And you're about to see them like swinging their like proverbial social, status bars around. Because that's what this society thing is all about, right? That's what the social circle is like. And so it becomes really evident in this scene that May ranks the highest of anybody at this table, like on the social scale. And the terrible twosome are really jealous of that fact because they think May ain't shit, right? And they're like, wow, this blind woman is seeing somebody, like, you know what I mean? This blind woman got Ploy to do all this shit. Like, they're jealous of May. Okay, the fact that May can maintain highest status despite being not worthy in their eyes for whatever reason. It doesn't seem like they liked May before this, but like they don't think May's worthy of it. And here she is, still at the top of the social pyramid, and they're pissed off about it because they think they should be at the top.
And they really have a thing against her being blind. Like that definitely made her like a worthless, useless person.
Right. Because, like, I mean, who knows? It could be tied to, like, they think May's a terrible person on some level, and they're like, well, that's her karma, obviously. She must be terrible if this happened to her. And, like, how could she still be at the top? I've never done anything wrong in my life, They give me that energy in the scene.
You've done so much wrong in your life, darling.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, we interrupt this episode to bring you some shout outs for our Chaos Crew over on Patreon. Woo! Our Chaos Crew members on the Big Gay Rider. Oh shit, thank you. Sorry. Anyway, our Chaos Crew members on the Big Gay Rider Die tier and above are Amix Monzone _multi, Ariel W, Danny, Here For It, Jill L, Cassie M, Leona, Michelle G, Monet F, Moving Forward Leading, Natalia, Regina B, Worshipichin, Izzy N, Pooja S, Jasmine O, and Nancy D. Woo! I breathed during that and I didn't want to. Darn bodily functions just doing it subconsciously. Anyway. And our featured Big Gay supporter members for this episode are Amber, Anita M, and Ashley H. Woo. Thank you so much for all of your support, and thank you to everyone who is watching, listening to this on whatever platform you're able to. We really appreciate all the support that you give us. We see you, especially when you comment and review the podcast, because then we can actually literally see your words to us.
Yes.
If you're not able to join Patreon, where you get these episodes early, ad-free, and full-length reaction videos to the content that we cover, that's okay. We totally understand. Not everyone's able to, and we will do some giveaways to give people the opportunity to join our Patreon at some point as well. But if you can't do that, just come join our Discord, where it's completely free and you can talk to us about Pluto, any other queer media, and also so many other people who are constantly keeping up and even like know so much more than us about Thai girl love in general. So it's
friends.
A great time over there. Yeah, and it makes my heart so happy because we do see people making friends over there, and it's really cute.
That's what it's for. Yeah. And I must say, I love the alliteration of the featured members today.
Yes.
The AAA.
AAA. Sorry. AAA, for the people who don't understand why I'm laughing, AAA is a service that you call if you break down on the road.
I mean, so that means we can call any one of you if we're in trouble, right?
And you'll be there, right?
Did you know you were signing up for that when you joined Patreon? Probably not. Just to let you know,
but you're here now.
More than just content coming from us. We also rely on you.
We do rely on you to tell us what you want and not be divided evenly. You're never going to live that one down.
No, if you guys do that again for our next discussion recap shit, we get to pick.
How dare you?
Anyway, okay, so thanks Patreon, and let's move on. Let's continue this episode, this scene. So that was just kind of the setup to the Ploy pre-debut restaurant scenario. But we're missing somebody. So then I, to her word, only went to the car for 5 minutes and then excitedly runs into the scene in the least socially appropriate way possible. Because remember, we're in the world of high society right now. I's about to be super out of her element. So I enters the scene by literally running into the room, heading straight for May and yelling, "May, I'm here." Because she has tunnel vision for May, and then she does not acknowledge anybody else in this room.
She doesn't even acknowledge if there's a conversation going on.
No. Nothing.
Literally just comes in shot.
Literally just comes in like a category 4 hurricane into this polite society. Okay, so like from I's point of view, she knows May is nervous and she does not want to leave her alone. She made a promise not to leave her side and then literally left her side because she had to get her phone. So I think that I, with that, literally ran to the car, got the keys, and then was running back. I think she ran the whole time and like ran back to May. So she's like out of breath here. And she got there so May would not be alone, like i.e. without her for as little time as possible, right? So I think I was just literally running to get back to May. And I knows May the best out of everybody in this room. Okay, so she knows when May is like faking it and when she's guarded. And she's a super caring, supportive partner. So she wants May to know, hey, you're not alone. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. It's fine. I came right back. She's like an excited puppy dog in this scenario. She's like, I got the ball. I'm back. Like, that's fine. Okay. Then from May's point of view, May's like, oh my God, May, amazing girlfriend, whom I can't wait to be alone with so I can do more than kiss her, is back. Because, okay, from May's point of view, May wants, first of all, and needs I's support at this restaurant debut, not, shenanigans. And May's body language becomes really reflective of this because I run straight to May and then like grabs both of her hands and then May leans into I. Okay, because like she needs her there and wants her there, and I is hovering very protectively over May because she doesn't know what she just entered. She's just like, May was alone. May is not alone. I'm here, bitches. Like that's basically I's body language in this scene. And May's like, yep, she's here. She's mine. She's right here. Okay. That's May and I's point of views. Everybody else in the room, excluding and maybe including Ploy, who is this unsophisticated lowlife that just came in here? Like, that's everybody else in the scene because this was the amount of social faux pas that I commits in just 3 seconds is a lot for people who don't know who the hell she is, okay? So what did I do that's socially unacceptable for where they're at, which is a fancy restaurant that's pre-opening? For people with money. Look at this place. This is only for like elite people to come to. It's not like they opened, it's not like Ben's mom who opened a street food, who opened like a food stall for people on the street to come to. This is like, you have to travel up mountains and like have money to come here. Okay. So we're in a different world. So what does I do that's wrong? She's running indoors. Okay. She doesn't introduce herself at all or greet anybody, including the host. There's no whying happen here. There's none of that. She just runs in and she's yelling inside like like a barbarian. And then she's not dressed for this either. Okay. Everybody else, look at everybody else. Everybody else is in quote, like nice going out clothes because that's not denim. Okay. Because it shows off their wealth. That's part of the game of being in the circle. And then here comes I in street clothes. She's in flats and she's in double denim. She's got a denim jacket and jeans
Double
on.
denim.
Okay. Because she doesn't have, which doesn't say I have money. Okay. So then everybody's like, the quick judgment of like, who is this person who has no manners and no money? Why are they here? So off the bat, the terrible twosome come to the same judgmental conclusion that Ploy did the first time she saw I, which is this is a gold digger who's preying on the fact that May is blind. That's what they think of. Because like if you don't know I and you're like, this is what is that? Like she's gold digging May, right? But unlike Ploy, who was like, remember their first meeting when Ploy was like, what the fuck are you doing with May? She was like protective of May. These bitches are like, I can't wait to use this against May, right? Because their energy is like, of course May can't get a girlfriend who's Ploy. Ploy is a socially acceptable girlfriend for May to have because they're like, May is blind and has to settle for trash. Like that's their energy and they're gleeful about it. Whereas Ploy was like, May, you can do better than this. She's taking advantage of you kind of thing, right? And then here's the deal. Ploy, who knew about this, doesn't help in this scenario because she refuses to make eye contact with anybody when I comes running in here while the terrible twosome are silently judging May. Like Ploy's inaction doesn't help any of this. It just emboldens the terrible twosome to do whatever because Ploy is not like, oh, she's a good person. I know her. None of that. Ploy's just quiet, lets them think what they want, just sits there, doesn't look at the situation. She's just like pretending it's not happening. It's like, Ploy, you're not helping at all.
Ploy is passive in all of the situations.
Correct. And like inaction sometimes is action because Ploy, by not doing anything, facilitates this to continue. Okay, she could shut it down. She's the host. But no, that's not what happens here. So the terrible twosome run with this, basically. And then what I'm calling the judgmental brunch commences. And like, I don't know what time of day it is, but like these bitches seem like the performative I go to brunch crowd. So like, I'm just going to call this brunch, even though I don't know what time of day it is. Because like, also we get like, we get to see like clouds outside. I don't know what time of day it is looking at this. Let's be honest. I'm calling it brunch. Because I don't know.
I think that's fair.
I think that's the vibe I'm getting from this scene. Okay, so then we get this like wide shot where we get more of the restaurant as they're like saying cheers, right? And clinking glasses. And like looking at the interior, this is a really stunning location and place that Ploy has put together. Like look at, I assume this is like guest of honor seat where they're at because they're in this table that's situated in front of this like pretty sizable round window and the view of like the countryside from their seat is just stunning. And it's a very open space where there's a lot of windows so that you can just like see the countryside. And it's really beautiful, like location that Ploy has picked for this restaurant. Really, it is beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I love the like the circular, like the play with shapes too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use my own nickname for the terrible twosome right now. These rich bitches need to get slapped.
Yes.
Or something similar. Again, we're always telling people they need to be slapped. Anyway. Because
they do, though.
Like, Ploy is trying to praise May. Okay.
Instead of physical violence, somebody needs to get upset at what happened to like good old dramas where people will be holding the drink and they throw the drink? Throw a drink at them. They have drinks in the scene. Like, throw your drink at them, Like, somebody throw a cocktail at them. That's okay. Rich people do that. In dramas.
So these rich bitches need to get a drink thrown on them.
There it is.
Because Ploy is trying to praise May for being the first to start her own company. So, like, this is Ploy's opening. And Yet, Ploy is still praising May about being the first one to start her own company. And the rich bitches have such an inferiority complex that they have to start immediately ruining this beautiful moment between friends by bringing up May's accident. because again, this is all she is to them right now, and what May literally did not want to happen. Because they don't want to focus on May's achievements.
No.
They want to talk about the things that they perceive make May weak.
Correct.
Because that's their way of pulling her down. And again, that, my friends, is not the definitions of a friend. That is the definition of run. Run far away, fast as you can. Just saying. And the rich bitches are one person. They don't get.
No, we're not going to distinguish these hoes. Like they're a collective.
They even go as far to use the forbidden word, pity. And like that's just going to set her off, because no matter what context you use it in, and especially in this context, that word, you just don't say that around May.
Or I, in response to May.
Yes.
She's going to also have feelings about that.
Yes. And like this just shows that May was right to be worried about her friends.
Air quotes.
We use that term lightly. And them pitying her.
Because they fucking say it.
Yes. This is exactly what she's trying to avoid. But Ploy shows that she is active listening more, because she immediately tells the rich bitches not to pity May.
Good for you, Ploy.
Yes.
Sometimes you got it. Most times you don't.
But she does put the rich bitches down while trying to lift May up, because she says that May has enough money to last the rest of her life. And you're not making as much as she is. Which, I mean, in normal context, like, that's also not okay. But baby steps, I mean, they do. The rich bitches deserve it.
They do.
But at the same time, that's not a good thing to. You don't want to, like, knock other people down just to build someone up.
I mean, that is the whole dynamic of this high society thing.
Yeah.
They're being a little more aggressive than I would think they would be, but like that is the social circle we're in. That's the culture here. Okay, but all of that is true. And then kudos to I, who once the pity talk starts coming up, she steps in and holds May's hands like covertly under the table, because she knows how much this hurts May to hear. Okay, because May has told her, right? And remember, she gave her that whole story about why being pitied really gets to her so deeply. And so the minute that starts happening, I's like, I'm here, I'm with you. And like, while the terrible twosome employee get into it, as you just described, I is just looking at May the entire time, because May's reaction is all she cares about. She doesn't give a fuck about these people. Like, honestly, they're beneath her in a way. And she's just like, I'm just worried about you right now, because I know this is your nightmare playing out in front of you. And it's really sad to watch May, because May slips back into lawyer mode. If you look at her, it's very stone-faced, emotionless, while she's hearing and processing this shit as a like attorney would, who can't show their hand. They just have to like be in the moment and process it and not give anything away. Complete opposite of when I and May were alone in the car and I was sweet talking her, and you just see the emotions on her face. There's none right now. And I think I understands May's behavior and has intently watched her closely enough for enough time to understand what's happening with May. And so I like that she just like silently, physically reassures her while this is happening and just lets May do her thing. Like, I doesn't interject here. She's just like, you're in control, May. I'm with you to support you, kind of thing.
Because literally, what could I actually say right now to make
she could throw a drink at them. Like, oh no, my drink, like it slipped, you know, and the conversation.
Yeah, like it just,
she could do that,
and she, at the very least, could like literally spill her drink and make it.
I'd be like, oh no, I'm so clumsy because I'm, you know, a social degenerate. Whoops. She could play into that shit and just get them to stop talking. She could. She's just like.
But like this moment meant more to May than.
Also, like, May deserves the opportunity to defend herself, which she does do. So, like, again, this isn't about I, it's about May. And she's just like, I'm with you. You take the lead and I'll go off of what happens. Which she does. Sort of.
And in response to Boy saying that May makes more money than they ever will, one of the rich bitches starts talking about being a housewife and like how she doesn't have to worry about making money because she has a husband. And if you just look at I, she looks like she wants to murder her and them because they're one person. And like just same. I also want to murder her or, you know, throw a drink at her. Because also I had
sorry, the dichotomy of like I would like to murder her or throw a drink. Those are like on par. It's just one of those.
Well, if I don't want to get
I know
the government knocking on my door one day.
Our government advocates for murder all the time. Like I think they're okay with that, as they've shown us.
Yeah.
We're living in fucked up times, everyone. We're just doing our best.
We're just trying to get by, man.
We are.
We're just trying to live.
We are.
Okay. Anyway. So, to I, she's having to listen to all this while she's had to work so hard the past few years just to help Meemaw make ends meet. Correct. And here's this woman going on and on about how she lives off another person and does nothing to contribute herself. Like, even Ploy doesn't find this conversation interesting and like is visually uncomfortable. And yeah, again, this is Ploy who was throwing her money around in the like, casually when they first met.
Remember the conversation with Tom where they're like, I just dropped millions on some trip to China to like find myself. You know what I mean? They were having conversations like that. And I was like, I literally spent beyond my means just to bring you food. Like, you know.
See, like Ploy, you're getting there. You're getting there, Ploy.
Oh, Ploy. Anyway, so then May counters this whole conversation with actual facts by saying, I've handled enough divorce cases of rich men leaving their wives penniless so they can get a younger wife to know that it's not safe to rely solely on your partner for financial security. And like really, okay, again, because like where are we? We're in the social circle where like what they call now the trad wife fantasy is happening. So do you know what trad wives are? What that whole
I heard the term and I was gonna text you beforehand and be like, what does trad wife mean?
Okay, so it's like this term for traditional wife, right? So like, and tradition means conservative. And I'm using that term broadly in the context of like, I understand we're not in America. We were talking about Thailand and Thai culture, but I'm talking about in like patriarchal structures, the tradition under a patriarchal society, which Thailand has, is that man is head of family, wife is subservient, kind of thing. And in that role, man makes money outside of house to support family that's inside of house, and wife runs house. Okay, so that is what this, and really that model works for people with more money than God. Okay, which is the terrible twosome that's bringing us up right now. Okay, so her fantasy is like, if I marry a rich man, oh, she says rich white man, which girl, don't do that. I hope you have a prenup. Like, don't do that. He will screw you over. Just they're mostly horrible. If you're a white man listening to this right now, it's not all men, but it's always a man that's doing this shit that May is referring to. So anyway, so basically like in that structure, like he has all the financial power because he is making the money. That's part of the social contract. And then she has nothing, okay? Because her role is unpaid domesticated labor. And then in her scenario, they have money for servants and stuff. And so like there is no domestic labor. So she can just like do whatever and just go to brunch all the time, which is like what she's flaunting. She's like, I don't even have to have a job because my man makes so much money, but he leaves you, then what? Which is what May says. She's like, if he divorces you out of nowhere, now what? You're penniless and homeless. This is not a good plan. Okay. Cause like, that's like the fantasy of trad wife versus like the reality. In the reality, it sets you up for failure because you as the woman own nothing and don't make money. And so when the divorce happens, even like in a 50-50 scenario, like if that's the scenario, like you don't have a job. You've been out of work for how many years? Like, you don't have skills that translate into something that gets money unless you go into service work. If you were doing domestic labor, because it's devalued, because it's women's work and all that. Anyway, it sets you up for failure. And although this terrible twosome that's bringing it up is terrible, hence the name, I wish that fate on no one, to be honest, because that's a really shitty position to be in after like making a contract with somebody to be like, we're in this together, and then like you get fucked over at the end of the day, which is what May is saying. And so the advice is to save your own money in an account your partner can't touch just in case something bad happens. That's advice from wives of the past who couldn't legally own their own bank accounts just in case this ever happened to them. Kind of
Which is
thing.
insane.
Yeah. It was less than 100 years ago. 1970s in America. Not that long ago, guys.
Oh, God.
So,
anyway.
That's what May is saying. She's like, that's great, but like, you could be setting yourself up for failure if he leaves you.
Yeah. And her whole speech reminded me in a roundabout way about the situation with May and her blindness, because May, like all of us who are able to see, relied on her sight and took it for granted as it would always be there. So like, she was married to her sight, relying on it, did nothing for, like, didn't have to rely on any other senses to make up for sight. But when that was taken away, May was left with nothing, and she had to make the choice to stand on her own rather than accept her fate and lean into the woe is me of it all. Mm-hmm. So she had to like learn those skills really quickly to be able to stand on her own. Whereas the rich bitches, terrible twosome, would have definitely fed into the pity of it all and cry, woe is me, to still have other people take care of them. Right. Because they would have been like going to May and Ploy and be like, oh, take care of me. I just had something terrible happen to me. And then take advantage of all the quote, air quotes, friends that they have.
Right.
Connections they have.
Really. Correct.
And this whole speech is like May's way of telling them that she is still just as strong as she was before the accident, because she does stand on her own. In addition, and the speech is like her verbal slap to knock those two down because they deserve it.
Yep. They're not good people, but like, again, being a good person morally and being a wealthy person with power are not necessarily mutual. They could be mutually exclusive things. And that's what we're seeing kind of play out with the terrible twosome here. And so when the terrible twosome number one brings up the I married a rich white billionaire, is like flexing on that, Ploy also looks troubled by this. Like, May is troubled, hence why she's like, hey girl, like, I've been in reality long enough to know that he's probably there's a chance he'll divorce you and leave you with nothing, because I've worked cases like that with rich men divorce their wives kind of thing. Just letting you know that's reality of your situation. You shouldn't be aware of that. And then Ploy, if you look at her during this conversation, she's like, looks troubled by this brag from her friend, but as opposed to May, Ploy stays quiet. So it's obvious she's like worried about her friend, but then doesn't say anything. But May does. So really it says a lot about Ploy. Again, like I keep saying, she'd rather keep the peace than challenge her like quote friend on this. Which interestingly, Ploy had no qualms on challenging May on her choice to date quote Just saying, she felt like was trash. And so she felt very emboldened to bring that up with May. But then this girl is talking about her socially acceptable husband. And Ploy's like, this is probably not a great thing. And then, but says nothing, right? But then when May starts speaking facts about this, which is probably voicing out loud what Ploy wants to say, Ploy, if you watch her, it cuts back to her and she starts smiling when May starts actually saying like what she's thinking. So from this scene, I wonder if Ploy admires May's assertiveness and bravery, because May is assertive and brave, and perhaps Ploy on some level wishes she wasn't such a people pleaser sometimes, or feels like she needs to be, because like in this context, like this is her debut. These are socially influential people. So it's in her interest to keep the peace for the restaurant, not just like for her friendship or whatever with them. So, you know, on some level, Ploy admires May is what I think, based on the scene. Because like it is admirable.
They're closer. She's closer to May.
Also
in
that
general.
But still, in social situations, May is more bold. And I think Ploy admires that. Okay. So naturally, the terrible twosome didn't like reality as May explained it. And so, of course, uses May's own words against her. And the bitch is like, well, clearly you don't rely on your partner for money. Like looking at I. Because that was the quick judgment, right? She's a gold digger. And she's like, since you're so principled, your girlfriend must be too. And that's when the focus of the conversation shifts from May. Because these social bottom feeders really cannot defeat May directly, because May is she's the alpha here. So they have to turn the spotlight on I, who they perceive as the weakest link. And she's like, what do you do for a living, And I responds, I'm a DoorDasher by day, which earns sniggering from the terrible twosome, obviously. And she's like aspiring novelist by night, basically. And I, who is street smart, understands the subtext of the conversation being directed at her, which is why she clarifies, I've never spent May's money, though, if that's what you're getting at. Because that's the unspoken accusation with this question of being like, what do you do for money? Because that's the first question, not who are you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what do you do for money? And she's like, well, this is what I do. But I don't spend my girlfriend's money the way you spend your husband's money, if that's what this is about. And when
she's just as bold as May.
Right. Oh, yeah. They share a brain cell, obviously. And then when I calls the terrible twosome out for this, the terrible twosome person's like denies it because it's socially unacceptable to ask a stranger this. She doesn't know her. But she's like, but also like, I'm just like curious about how you make. I'm just asking. Remember, I'm just asking questions. I'm not being a provocateur. I'm just asking questions. Okay. So then I responds, well, like, I'm doing fine with making a living because I don't waste money on frivolous and an unnecessary lifestyle that you call glamorous, basically. And these bitches are flummoxed because does not compute. Glamour is the goal, right? And truly, like, again, what's really happening in this conversation is there's a lot of jealousy and feeling belittled coming from the terrible twosome because of her, quote, accomplishment of marrying into money. And truly, like, it's one thing in this scenario for May, who they begrudgingly consider an equal, to say this, but it's a graver insult for someone they consider subhuman, who is I, to say this openly to their face in front of all like the social alphas in the scenario, right? So it's like they're being insulted socially by I even fucking saying this.
Which they deserve.
Well, yes.
But I love how confident I is becoming talking about what she does. And because like there was no hesitation with saying I'm a delivery driver. And also when she's talking about becoming a novel writer. And it's just great to see like how she's accepted this possibility. Like, no, like she is going to be writing a novel. That is something, and she doesn't mind other people knowing. And this is especially when she's trying to like stick it to the terrible twosome. Like she also knows that it doesn't matter what these people think about what she does.
Yep.
Because like May believes in her, and that's all that matters. So right now, this is all about protecting May. So she's going to be confident in everything. So the terrible twosome can't just knock her down and like pick out weaknesses. And then I love I's final blow to the terrible twosome about saying like she makes ends meet because she doesn't care about being glamorous, because she's basically calling them superficial because they need to spend a lot of money for their glamorous lifestyle. And like Ploy and May's reactions to this are hilarious, but especially Ploy's, because she is struggling to hold in the laughter at this point. And you really see which sides she's on. And again, it just shows that Ploy is not friends with the terrible twosome. She's there because of politics and for show at the end of the day.
Correct.
And like right now, I and May, like you said, are saying all the things that Ploy wishes she could say, but she can't, or she feels like she can't.
Correct.
So Ploy just seems happy that someone's finally said it. Meanwhile, May's reaction just says, "That's my girlfriend, bitch."
I love that May, stares them down like, come at me, bro. And then under the table gives I a thumbs up, which was so fun. Because they share a brain cell. This was so cute. Like, good job, I. Like, it was really cute. Because again, I's here as her guardian angel and her like protector. Like, she's doing a great job.
She is.
She is.
I love the little thumbs up is adorable.
Thumbs up is so fucking cute. What a power move. All right, so then brunch commences at some point, and I excuses herself to the communal bathroom so she can clean something off of her jacket, because we see her like rubbing at it as she enters the scene. And as she approaches the entrance of the bathroom, she overhears the terrible twosome talking shit, because if you look at the scene, it's like the wall dividing where the entrance is, and where I is walking is like where the mirrors and the sinks are in the communal bathroom. So these bitches are talking and like their voices are traveling. And so I hears this as she approaches. So they can't see her, but she can hear them.
And they don't care about how loud they're speaking.
There's nobody here though, also. It's just like this is a private thing. But yeah, they think they're above repercussions is like the thing. This is their ego is on display.
Yeah, and they prove that they aren't May's real friends because they are just trash talking her in the bathroom. And it seems like from this conversation that they're having together that they never really got along with May, because they say how even when she wasn't blind, May was cocky. And I do get that they were being looked down upon, like in that situation that just happened at brunch, but like they had to be dragged down, like looked down upon, because they were literally dragging everyone else down first backhandedly. So they needed to like get a taste of what they were literally doing. And the way that one of them says, "What an ego," after saying she can't even say, after they say she can't even see, says so much that they don't see May as a person anymore. All they see is someone who is blind, and again, like that's exactly what May is worried about. Not even that these people who are, quote, successful will look down on her for being blind, or like will pity her and feel like they have to take care of her. She's worried about not being a person to them. And that is literally what they are showing. And then they go on to say she thinks she's rich and untouchable. No one can bring her down. And all I want to say is, yes, she is. And that's the whole point of May's speech in the last scene, because she stood on her own after the accident and kept fighting for herself, because no one can bring her down, because she made herself who she is today. And she made sure that she made herself and did not lean on anybody else, so she could never be knocked down and left in the dark. And just shows how powerful she is.
I will say, though, that May did come from a position of privilege on her starting point, because she went to private school and had a lot of money to begin with. But she did fight to escape her father hovering over her, and she just kept going upward, kind of thing. But she, unlike I, she did start from a position of privilege.
Did, yes, she did have privilege.
But she did make her, she earned her spot at the top of their little social circle in terms of like she's self-reliant at this point in time. Like she is self-reliant and still on top of them financially and socially. So she did do that, to your point, with little to no help. But definitely not help from them. Like, what does their friendship add to May's life? Nothing.
Literally nothing. Literally we find out like in the next, in like part 3, I think, that like, they literally need her more than she needs them.
They show it.
They're nothing to her.
No, I don't understand why May puts up with them. They offer her nothing. I understand in this scene because this is about ploy and they're here for ploy. They're not here for May. But anyway, okay. So then, truly though, to me, this entire conversation between the terrible twosome in the bathroom where they think nobody's listening on them is really just them projecting their own insecurities onto May. Because think about it, these two, I mean, we don't know about both of them, but I'm lumping them in together because I don't care enough to know about the other one. And she's not telling me, so I don't really care. So they're the same person in my mind. So think about it. They're here because they have money by proxy. Because they married somebody who has money. They're not earning money the way Ploy and May are. It's money by power by proxy. They don't have the power, honestly. And they know that. Their partner has the power. But they think because they now have all this money because of marriage that they're untouchable. But then May comes in and she points out actually the situation they're in is vulnerable. And because of that, like it could lead to their, one divorce could lead to their social and financial downfall. And that's scary, okay? And instead of reflecting on the fear, they project it outward and attack somebody else they see as, quote, lesser, because being cruel and hurting the other person makes them feel better. And this is a topic that like hits home because this is literally the political environment in America, especially coming from the right side of the spectrum. This is conservative politics right now. What's happening in America? They're scapegoating queer people, particularly trans people, because they're insecure and vulnerable people in society who refuse to self-reflect and want to feel superior and, quote, happy. So there's happiness in making others, the scapegoats, suffer by doing things like taking their rights away and like enacting violence against them. That's the world, that's the climate we and Kaitlynn are living in right now. And so like this is just like a low stakes example of that. Because what were they doing? They felt attacked and insecure about themselves. And instead of thinking, why am I in this? Why am I scared? They're like, well, May's blind. Fuck her. Like, she's not even human. And then is obviously a degenerate. Like, does she even know what money is? Like, haha, I do. Like, again, it's just that feeling of superiority by being cruel gives them momentary happiness and joy because they're happy about somebody else having less than them and somebody else suffering worse than they are, which is really disgusting. And it's really just like two people who are emotionally immature and unintelligent because they can't handle their own emotions internally. So let's project it onto somebody else and make fun of them. That's what they're doing in this whole conversation, right? And my favorite, you gotta love the deflect when they're like, well, I was like trying to be the bigger person with May by like sympathizing with her, referring to when she said, I pity you. But then May threw my goodwill right back in my face. Like, in their mind, they thought they were like, I was being the bigger person. I was like, I pity you. I mean, and she immediately attacked me. I didn't do anything wrong. Again, playing victim when, like, to your point, they were the aggressors in the conversation, right? It's cognitive dissonance, right?
The first issue is that they don't see that they were.
That would require self-reflection. They don't do that. They're just like, my feelings were hurt. It's May's fault my feelings were hurt. That's it. That's as deep as it goes. And really the only unspoken truth, the only spoken truth they say in this whole conversation that I is overhearing is when one of the terrible twosome says, the only reason I let the insult go was because of the connection that May offers me. Because these are scrupulous people who just want power and proxy to power. The means justify the ends. Right? They're like, I don't care about May. I care about what May can give me. By being associated, the proxy, by being associated to May, I get privilege. And I just care about that. I don't care about May.
That's why I yielded, because I'd rather have the proxy to power than prove I'm right to May. That's what they're saying. And that's the only truth that they actually say in this conversation. Which just, again, that's who they are. And that we unfortunately live with people like this all the time. And it's really annoying.
And I want to know how they think that they could like fight and like say that they're right. Like, how would that conversation even go? Because there's no way you're going to be right in the situation. She would beat you down the end every single point that you make.
Well, they know that. But it's like, again, it's not what is truth. Truth is what people believe. So her truth is that I was being nice, and then May just like attacked me out of nowhere when I was being nice to her. That's her brain is justifying. It thinks about that whole interaction that we just saw. It's disgusting. Anyway. So who's not delusional in this scene? So I hears all of this, and I think it's really, really sinking in why May was really so afraid to come back to this realm of high society. And I think for I have to imagine, it's based on how she entered this restaurant, that like, and all the social faux pas she's doing, that she has no experience in the world of high society. Okay, we saw her go to Oom's wedding, which might be the closest thing ever, where she was in that giant mansion with all the fancy people, like, and outside of like working in the service industry and doing laundry for people with money, I don't think I has ever been in these situations before. So here's I entering this debut restaurant thing and getting firsthand experience with the type of people May interacts with in her social group. Because up till now, I has mostly just been alone with May and seen May isolated in her mansion. She's heard stuff about her family, never met them. She's met Ploy and Ton, but only at May's place and May's turf. So it's a little bit different than just going outside of May's safe space and interacting with other people in a non-curated fashion. So like, this is like high society women out in the wild, right? And this is probably when I's first experience is doing this, but this has been May's whole life, okay? And up till now, again, the only high society lady from May's social circle she's met is Ploy. We all remember how that went with Ploy. It wasn't great, right? It wasn't great.
Not the best.
Wasn't great. And the terrible Twosome are 100 times worse than Ploy, okay? Here they are outwardly admitting amongst themselves that they are gleeful, downright jubilant to take advantage of May and get what they want, and would happily stab her in the back if they could, or throw drinks on her, or throw her under a bus. Like all those things. They're just saying that right now. Like, okay. And so I think it's really starting to really sink in for why May stayed isolated in her mansion most of the time, especially after becoming blind, because that puts her at a disadvantage, right? Like as you've mentioned, like as a lawyer, she has to learn how to read people and to like navigate situations, especially these. They're all subtext based, and like facial expressions, body language is part of that. So of course, why would May ever put herself in that position now? Like May's world wasn't safe before she was blind, and it's like less safe now. And I think that reality that May was living with is really starting to like become apparent to because she's experiencing it firsthand, what May goes through. And so, cackling like villains, the terrible Twosome exit the restroom, only to find I posted up on the wall like a fucking hero, who calls them out immediately for being fake friends. Without hesitating, she's like, "So you guys are fake fucks, aren't you?" Like, here's I. And they pause to check out like look her up and down, and decide silently I ain't worth shit. And they just walk away. Because like, again, in this, I's in their world right now. And they're like, who the fuck is gonna believe you? Even if you overheard us plotting May's murder. Who the fuck's gonna believe you? You're not worth anything. My word is worth weight because I have money and power. Like, you have nothing. You're not worth my time. And they just leave. That's how untouchable they feel and how subhuman they think of I. They're like, whatever, bye. You got nothing on me.
Yeah. The fact that they're not even fazed by her being there is awful. Because, like, this is someone who will literally go back and tell May what you were saying but you don't care.
They don't
and that
care.
makes sense what you're saying, because you're like, well, who would believe you?
Who would
They
believe you? Your
But-
word against mine.
Like,
And
they
I
were
have the
literally
power.
just talking about keeping May around because she's a good connection. But here they aren't even seeing I as a person,
Nope.
or recognizing that she is literally the key to keeping the connection with May.
They don't care. Why would they? They don't have to care about poor people. Like, that's who these people are. Like, we don't care about poor people. Why would we care? They're beneath us. That's the mentality of these people. Okay. So I was heading to the restroom because she's like, oh man, my favorite jean jacket might stain. And then this goes down. And then she very quickly decides defending May's honor is more important than cleaning her jacket. So she follows the terrible twosome right wherever they're headed. Meanwhile, Ploy and May are sitting all alone at the table. And the longer this goes on, the more antsy May gets. So finally, May's like, this is taking way too long. I'm nervous. Ploy, we have to go find them. And so Ploy takes May and
someone
they go
might
after
be
them.
dead.
Huh?
Someone might be dead.
Someone might be dead. We have to go. And to Ploy's credit, like, Ploy doesn't argue with her or do it. She's just like, yes. Because I think she's also like, yeah, we gotta go. This is probably not good. So they're on the same page, I think. Meanwhile, the terrible twosome march outside with eye on their heels. And like, where the fuck was this bathroom? Why are they outside?
It's a terrible location. That's a good point to bring up, because why do you have to leave the restaurant to go to the bathroom? That seems like a terrible time when it's bad weather.
Right. Yeah, no, in Thailand where it rains, like, at first I was like, maybe they're leaving, but I'm like, I don't think these two were just going to ghost Ploy. That would be a huge social faux pas. So like, I think it's like, it must be detached from where they were at, which seems unwise to your point. Anyway, so they're outside now, and I is like calling them out still for being fake as fuck, essentially.
And these bitches pretend like they don't know what I is talking about. I mean, like, to their credit, that is smart, because
deny.
Like, they don't know how much I actually overheard, because it's not like I was in the stall. Like, she was outside, so it could have been just at the very end.
Also, they're like, again, it's your word against mine. If I say it didn't happen, it didn't happen. And Ai's upset not that they're terrible, because like, she kind of knew that. She's upset that they're being fake with May. And she's like, just tell it to her face if you don't like her. Just say it. Why are you gotta be a coward about it? Because Ai's pretty brave. And she's like, you guys are fucking cowards. Like, just be brave. So she tries to argue with them, explaining that she, like, to your point, I literally heard you confessing in the bathroom. Like, I heard everything. And then she's still digging into them when May yells, because May and Ploy arrive mid yelling match, basically. And now we were in the eye of the hurricane, okay? And one of the terrible twosome rolls her eyes when May shows up. Like, bitch, May baby blind, but nobody else is blind. Ploy saw you do that. Like, what are you doing? Like, again, the hubris of these two, the egos of these motherfuckers is astounding. Like, May is the only one who's blind. Not everybody's blind.
But their actions don't matter because they're not touchable.
Right, but like, but Ploy ranks above them. So for Ploy to see this, again, they're just the hubris of these women. They think they're Icarus with the wax wings. They're like, I can go to the sun. I can do whatever I want. That's these two. So I explains that the terrible twosome were talking shit behind May's back and proceeds to recap the whole bathroom conversation. And then I proves she's never interacted with high society women, because she says, why don't you tell her to her face instead of gossiping behind her back? And ma'am, it's because direct confrontation is a social faux pas for women in conservative circles, because direct confrontation is a masculine trait. Passive aggression is feminine. And these women are very conservative women because they're trying to be in the box that their society structure has set up for them. That's why you have all the subtext shit going on, because that's how the women talk, okay? Or that's how women battle, essentially, in conservative societies. just go watch The Hunting Wives or whatever, that show on Netflix. So these dumb bitches they're just playing the game. They are playing the social game. That's what they're doing. Just like Ploy and May were, okay, inside. May's a bit more direct, but still, she was not direct. Like, go back to the conversation where Terrible Twosome number 1 is like, I married wealthy, so I don't have to work. May didn't directly call her out for like the weakness of that plan. May circumvented it by being like, well, you know, like in my experience, I've worked with other women who were, you know, who were married to rich. She described that woman's life and was like, I've met other women like you, without directly naming it and saying when they got divorced, it was bad for them. So she didn't directly confront the girl. She like circumnavigated in a master, like articulate way, basically setting up the comparison without drawing the comparison. Okay. Cause that's like the passive aggressive way to do it. Instead of the direct confrontation, be like, girl, you're going to get divorced, like left and penniless. She didn't say that. She said it in a different way. Right. And Ploy plays this game, the social game, by not saying anything. Inaction is always her game plan, because she's like, well, if I confront this, then I might lose the social connection. But if I say nothing and just let this blow over, like, these are two ways to play this game. There's either subtext conversations or you say nothing, right? And you have Ploy and May as the foils, and that's, you know, to compare in that scenario. And then you have I, the wild card, to your point. I is not playing the game because she's never had to play this game and she doesn't even know the rules, which is what gets I in trouble in this whole scenario. Like, makes her look like the bad, aggressive person who's attacking them, because like she doesn't understand the verbal sparring that's actually been going on the whole time we've been here, kind of thing. All she knows is May was slighted and now I need to duel these bitches. That's all I know, because I've got the masculine energy in this scenario, right? If you look at it through that lens, and like they all have the feminine energy. She's coming in with pistols. She's like, pistols at dawn. And they're like, what is this? Like, no, like that's kind of what's happening here. Because like,
She will fight.
Huh? Yeah.
She will fight.
Yeah. She wants to fight. But that's a masculine trait, right?
Yeah.
So it's like wrong crowd, and then so I aggressively keeps going back and forth with the Terrible Twosome, because she wants them to confess and tell May to her face, like, the truth. And then one of them gets freaked out by I and like steps back into glassware that's like sitting on a cart, because the help was like setting up the restaurant and bringing in supplies, and like this bitch knocks over a bunch of glass that then shatters basically because it was behind her. And then this is when Ploy does something. When Ploy's property is damaged, not when her friend is being insulted. It's when her property. These are just such conservative people, I swear to God. It's the property. When the property gets damaged, that's when her gloves come off, and she's like, for fuck's sake. And like, May, think about May. Now that you've pointed this out, May, who has no idea what's going on, just hears glasses shattering. No context. For all she knows, a bar fight just broke out, and she doesn't know because she just heard glass shattering. So the employees that were responsible for said glassware come out and they're like, hey, Miss Ploy, what do we do? And she's like, it's fine. Go back to whatever you were doing. And that's when Ploy does something, when her property's at stake. And then she's like, listen, all of this is my fault because I clearly invited the wrong people, and starts looking at the Terrible Twosome. Because again, Ploy's like, now you're threatening my restaurant, bitches. Like, now I have to do something. You forced me into action. So of course the bitches, what do? They blame I. Deflection. It can't be me. I'm perfect. It was her. She was being so you saw her speaking so aggressively. I'm the victim here. And I's like, we all literally watched you walk into the glassware. That was you. What do you mean? Like, we watched you. Because again, only May is blind.
Yeah.
we keep forgetting. Only May. She's like, you're still standing next to it. You were the physical closest. What do you mean?
Only you could have done it.
Only you could have done this. And then I keeps digging into them because she's right. But May cuts her off and she's like, just stop. And then she puts out her hand and she's like, come here, like calling her golden retriever. She's like, come here, And I clearly wants to keep fighting, but she stops because May tells her to, and then comes over to May. And then May apologizes to Ploy for all the chaos that just happened. And then she tells I, can you take me somewhere private, basically, where we can talk. And I look super pissed off. Like, she comes over to me and then like refuses to look at anybody else. Like, they're all behind her and she refuses to look at them for the rest of this. Because I is the type of person who does not know how to back down from a bully, much to her detriment in this scene. She doesn't know how to back down. She only knows how to keep fighting. Because like, that's survival for I, right? You got to fight the bully. And May's like, we have to walk away from the bully. I just come with me. And ultimately, I concedes because she loves May and truly she would do literally anything May asked her to, even if she didn't want to. And when they walk away, it's really cute because like I leads her out of wherever the fuck they are because they're outside. They're on the patio for some reason. And like when I leads her away, it's really cute. She does the thing where she like they're by palm trees and she like puts her hands out so like the palm fronds don't hit May. It's really cute. And she like leads her away because even when she's pissed off, she's still a gentlewoman. Got to give it to her.
She's always there. She's the gentlest woman.
But I love that the way she just silently takes care of May. And May doesn't know she's doing that. She just does it. Like I does all those little things because again, what were those women just doing? They were just like trying to like be like, look at how great I am. And I'm pointing out all the things that make me great. I just does things that are great and never points to herself and be like, look at me, I'm great. She's just doing great things. Like
she wouldn't even consider it.
Correct.
She's doing is great.
And that's one of the things I love about I. Like I just does good things because she's a good person at the heart of it, not because she has to prove to other people she's a good. It's not for show. Be like, look at how great I am. I just does them because that's what she was taught to do and believes is right. And like that just shows you the difference between people's character, right? And like I love that about I.
Yeah. Again, we love you, I. You're the best.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you do something wrong, which you're
is
about
it wrong?
To. I think it is, Theora.
Is it? Only you can decide.
Only you. All right, in the comments, that is your challenge for this episode.
Again? We've challenged them with only you before.
No, not only you.
Oh, okay.
It's tell us, do you think I was in the wrong or the right by burning down the building?
We didn't even get there yet. Yes.
I know.
It was the fire arson. Are you surprised that I went for arson? She did that when she was a child. But she burned the book.
No, you brought that up and I was like, oh no, that makes sense now.
Some things don't change. Like arson tendencies.
Never change. All right. So part 2 of episode 7, we transition to May's car where I and May are going to talk. And I asked May why she's the one leaving when the rich bitches should be the one leaving because they're the ones who insulted her. And May just takes a deep breath because this has been a lot. There's a lot going on. It was a lot for her to deal with as well. And everything that just happened is part of the reason that she didn't want to come.
Yes.
And I starts to question if May believes what she is saying about them insulting her. Because now she's like, okay, does May not believe me? Is she taking the terrible Twosome's word over mine? And like, that's exactly what the terrible Twosome thought would happen. And this is what gets May to speak because now I is doubting herself. And this is the last thing that May wants her to do. Like she spent so long trying to get I not to doubt herself.
And like to think about for I to ask this, like if you think about it, it makes sense, especially coming off the cusp of being outnumbered by all those high society ladies who spoke to I like she was trash and like her words meant nothing. So I think I is kind of like also like, oh, is your high society tendencies coming out? Am I trash or you don't believe me too? I think she's defensive from fighting with them. And and she's on the offensive right now, coming off that fight where she wasn't allowed to finish the fight. So like May is also about to just like calm her down and get her out of fight mode because I is still in fight mode right now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And May tells I that she does believe her, but she came here for ploy and it wouldn't be fair to ploy if she lets a mess happen at the restaurant when it hasn't even opened yet. Like this is the soft opening.
Yeah, hard openings tomorrow, girl.
And it's important to note that I does not file this away for later. Like,
no,
she does not recognized that May did not want to cause a mess at the restaurant.
This is I's explicit lesson in the rules of like, quote, polite society. Because like she's learning the hard way. There are rules here. And it is really shitty, if you think about it, that May knows the terrible twosome talk shit about her behind her back. She knows that. She just told I know they do that. I am well aware. Because it's part of that culture. It's part of that culture is secrets and shit talking and making, it's all that's part of their culture. And the fact that May knew that this was going on and still came to this to support Ploy and also get with I, because I was like, hey, I'll go with you. It really says a lot about May's character. So she's a good friend and a thirsty bitch. Like, just saying that. And also, like, in this conversation right now, May is telling I, like, hey, this is Ploy's moment to shine. And we made this whole thing about us, which is also not cool. It was not I and May's fault. But, like, here we are. Like, this was Ploy's moment. And it kind of turned into an us moment. And it wasn't supposed to be that. Kind of thing. And that's why she's like, I took us out of the fight for that reason. Not because you were wrong. You weren't wrong. It's just like, this isn't about us. And it became about us.
And even though May's trying to calm I down, she's just provoking her fight response more because she's upset that May is only caring about Ploy's feelings here. Like, I tells her that she cares about her feelings, May's feelings, and she can't just let what they say slide without feeling anything. Like, she's going to fight because they are hurting May, and she will not allow that to happen.
No, and she's basically like, I get this is about Ploy, but they made it about you and then insulted you, and like that deserves a response. And I don't care if you don't care, I care. I'm gonna fucking care for the both of us. And like, honestly, this is I is romantic without even trying. Like, I swear to God, because what a statement for May to hear. Because remember, the last time they were in his car, May's like, if what you're saying is true, that would make me really happy. Here's I demonstrating that she meant every fucking thing that she said because she's emotionally upset she's like, I have secondhand rage because of they insulted you. That's what she's telling May, and she's very clearly like you can hear it in her voice how pissed off she is and like emotional about it. Like, she's not faking. Ida's bad. She's a bad spy. We all know this. So like May can really hear how upset I is on her behalf that she was insulted. Like, that's huge. Okay. Again, for me, because May's constantly going, does she mean what she say? And like, yeah. Like, she can't see how pissed off I is, but you can hear it. You can hear the aggression in her voice. Like, she's pissed.
Like, girl, May, this girl will fight for you.
She's done it before. But like, it's even worse. It's going to be worse now because she actually has feelings for you. You could hear the feelings.
And so while I is full of passion and rage, May is just sitting there very calm and she looks exhausted. I can only imagine how much energy it takes to deal with these people and like just get the energy to deal with them.
They're awful.
And she's also seen this film before and the ending never changes.
No.
And May asks don't you think that what they said has some truth to it? And because like there's a reason 2 people have turned on her, and that's her whole thing. And like, granted, May does have an ego, like they said. Like, she's played the mastermind this whole time. But no matter like what she does or has done, it doesn't make it right for the terrible twosome to talk badly behind her back and then pretend to be friends right afterwards. Like, that is terrible, like an awful human being.
They are terrible twosome.
They are a terrible twosome, seriously. And like, for them to be friends and like them butting heads, like May and the terrible twosome, they just don't seem to work. And like, some people just aren't good as friends, and that's okay, that's fine. But it becomes toxic when power and connections come into play and they're just using this for their own gain. Because now, like, you could easily just let each other go and be different people, but the connections, they're trying to stay, quote, air quote, friends. And now they're just going to be hurting themselves and everybody around them.
Yeah, and part of the reason that gets toxic, like the high society thing, is because there's less people in that social class. Like, numerically speaking, the 1% is less people than the 99%. And because a lot of the people in that class are working in businesses at a top level, they're going to interact with each other. Like, you can't avoid interacting with them, is the thing. So they're forced into these, quote, friendships, which are really just association, acquaintance situations that are transactional. And so it is toxic in a way. Like, and it's like they're forced proximity to each other. So, like, sometimes they can say, like, May doesn't want to be with these people, but because they're in Ploy's circle and they have such a small group of people in the 1%, they're going to interact. Like, that's part of this whole thing and like why it becomes toxic, because they actually hate each other because they're all just vying to be number one, and only one person could be number one, you know? So we have to hate each other. So it becomes crazy. But anyway, so like, just for a second, imagine being May and living in this environment your entire life and experiencing this transactional fakeness all the time. And by doing so, accepting that your social circle is full of people foaming at the mouth to stab you in the back and gleefully leap over your dying body in order to rise above you in the social pecking order. If you were May, would you wait to be taken out or fight to stay ahead? That's it. That's how you survive in this environment that you're in your whole life. So when you like reframe May's social circle for what it is, it's really no wonder that she is this mastermind we keep saying that she is, because her upbringing and her social circle demanded that of her. She's not a mastermind for the love of the game. She doesn't just like, I love playing 8D chess and all this kind of stuff. I love it. No, her life is a game because she's been living in this environment that treats people like pawns on a chessboard. That's why since we first met May, she's always speaking in subtext, always constantly masking her true emotions and always calculating every single interaction. That's how she survived and thrived in this environment she was raised in, right? And so here's I, who's entering this space for the first time and seeing May in her, quote, like natural environment, basically. And I comes out of this confused because I's never had to do that and perform this way in order to survive, because she's not in that social class where like that game is the Game of Thrones is happening constantly amongst these people. She was in the 99%, like bottom of the 99%, right? Her survival was tied to finance, like money, and May's survival is tied to politics, right? They were surviving on different levels. And so I think that like, because of that, I is very different, and she's very different with what she says, how she emotes, and how she acts around people, and what the word friendship means, okay? Because she didn't have to play this politic game where you can't trust anybody. So I think that's another reason why May was so drawn to I and both of them really, because they're very genuine with their thoughts and emotions, because they were just allowed to express them. They were not in this environment where they had to put on a mask and live behind the mask. Their like ability to do that for I and is a form of freedom that May never had. So I think she was drawn to that. She's drawn to how genuine I is. Like, yeah, she's a terrible spy, but like May likes that. She's like, you're not like me. You weren't forced to be like me. That's refreshing and new and different and exciting. And we've seen over time, as she spent time with May lets the mask drop, and May just gets to be May, something she's never allowed to do. But what happens when she's back in this environment? She goes back to survival mode. Look at May in this conversation here, because May and I, like when they're back here in the car, they're still like in the mentality of that fight that just happened, right? I's all pissed off and just being aggressive. And then look at May. May is back in hiding behind a mask, right? She's emotionless. when she's talking to I, she's doing those little half smiles that mean nothing. She's talking in subtext. That's what she's like when she's in this environment. She's like, you see that she reverts back into it, like almost instantaneously without skipping a beat. She just goes right back into it. And it's really sad because like, that's what May's life was like before I and basically, which is really sad. She spent most of her life doing that, like being fake herself, because like, that's how you navigate this world that is fake in a way.
Yeah, like what you said, like that just makes the relationship with her and I that much better because of her being able to put her walls down.
And also it contextualizes May and why she's the mastermind we keep saying she is, because this environment made her that way, basically.
That's true. Everything's a game.
Right. That's why she's always talking doublespeak. That's why she's never shows you how she feels. That's why she's always 10 moves ahead of you. Like, her world made her into that. And that's how she survived and thrived, was by doing that. And like, that it bred her to be a good lawyer, honestly.
So in a way it helps, but in a bigger way, it's a terrible thing.
It makes you a really bad friend when you can't trust, when you feel like you can never trust people and have to play these games with them all the time. So like, when you see their friendships and you're like, oh, these friendships are fake. It's like, yeah, because everybody's trying to stab each other in the back. Like, you can't trust that. You can't be a true friend with somebody if you can't trust them. Versus like, if you look at I and Pang, what are they stabbing each other in the back over? Nothing. So like,
Nothing.
They can trust each other, right? They've gone through things together. Like, that's not what's going on with May and her social circle. They're not really friendships in the way that we think of friendships. They're more like, there are connections. That's what they are. They're connections. You use the connection and be wary of them because they'll stab you in the back if they get the chance. Like, and it's no wonder when May's blind, she just hides away in the mansion. Why put yourself in that position when you're more vulnerable, you know? So her fear of coming here, like, it's so sad when you really think about like why she was really so sad.
Valid.
Yeah.
Okay, so May tells I to stop taking her side because she's not as good of a person as she thinks. And I feel like this is just stemming from the whole Ben situation, because May is never going to be able to forgive herself for defending the person who attacked Ben, whose name is Batman, and I still cannot ever fathom the name anyway. Even if like she was being forced to do it. And now this is someone who I really cares about and has known for years. So to May, if I is defending her like this right now, what is I going to think when she finds out that May defended Ben's attacker?
Yeah, that, and also we don't know this yet in the show, but by doing that, it led to Ben's like financial ruin and the death of his mother, who's somebody else I cared about. So like, May's got a body on her by her actions. Also, like, May's deceiving I about the whole shit, and so like, there's also that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
So she's done some wrongs towards I and is like, I still haven't told you about this yet. And here you are defending me because you're ignorant of all that stuff that I did.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't know these things, but to I, May can do no wrong in her eyes. And I is like, even if 100 people condemn you, May is still going to be the best person for her.
And it's really cute because like, up till now, May's been like social mask on, staring out in the distance because they're in the car, so she's facing forward, so she's kind of understands her orientation a bit. I is sitting next to her, and then when I says this bold statement, that's when May looks at I like towards her, okay? Because I think by I saying this, like, even if the world's against you, I'll stay with you, basically, kind of thing. Like, this is a statement that indicates to May that maybe I won't leave her after the truth of Ben's case comes out. And I think that's why she looks, because there's like hope what I just said to her. And really, like, May was not expecting I to respond like that. Yeah, hoping I would respond like that, but that's a really big confession coming from I, kind of thing. And I is somebody who seems to stick to her word, and takes it very seriously. So that's big.
Yeah. So then I tells May to just wait here and she'll be right back. And if we could turn back time, this is when I wish we could wish we could, because I was about to do something really stupid in my eyes, not Theora's eyes, which is out of love, yes. But again, I think really, really stupid
No, yeah, it's really stupid, but I get why she's doing it.
It doesn't make it okay. But, all right. So May smiles as I gets out of the car because she just got told that I would want her even if a lot of people didn't like her. And that gives her a little more reassurance that I won't just leave her. A big thing for I, like we've been saying. And May then gets a call from Ton. And while doing notes, I noticed that it says Dr. Ton. And I just want to know, is this a formality because he is a doctor? Or like, why is it Dr. Ton in her phone? Because I found it weird since they are family.
I think I can answer that as somebody who has a doctorate, and my sibling has that in my Dr. Theora in his phone. It's because he's proud of it. So maybe May is proud of him because he earned his doctorate, like, and has that in his phone. She's proud of him.
That's cute. Man, I should name you Dr. Theora.
It's fine.
We should put doctor on here.
No. Let's not.
Okay. So, anyway, Ton tells May not to tell I that she knows who she is because he just got confirmation that Kasol was the person who attacked May out of revenge for May representing Batman. I still can't believe that's his name. And Ton also lets May know that I is friends with Kasol in bed. So now May has to not only worry that I will be mad at her for representing the person who hurt her friend, but now she also has to wonder if she knew about what Kasol did to her, like, and if she knew the whole time and
right,
playing her,
right?
And
was I playing her? Yeah.
Like, was she one-upped in the mastermind game?
Was I a double agent the whole time? I was somehow good at it.
By pretending to be bad at being the first spy.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but if May's panicking, it's a valid panic, right?
I mean, there's just so many possibilities that could be going through May's head right now.
Absolutely. But regardless of all those possibilities, May is having such a shitty day today. Like, it's kind of unbelievable how shitty this day is for May.
She's had a few of them. Yeah. But like today is pretty bad.
It's one thing right after the other for May today.
And this whole news makes May start panicking because again, she has no idea what's going on. And that's terrifying for her as someone who's always in control. Again, it's always with I. She's not in control.
Yep. Wild card.
Well, I is trying to come back and open the door, but it's locked. And May has to quickly collect herself and like put on her game face and unlock the door for I. And I isn't upset that she couldn't get in. I is freaking out because May locked the door and something could have happened to her and May might not have been able to open the door herself. But May is like, I got this. This is my car, remember? I know where everything is.
Everything's fine.
And then she smartly asks I where she went.
And then I grins like a fiend. And if only May could see the facial expressions on this bitch.
Seriously, this is the mischievousness. So we flash back 5 minutes to see what was up with I. And I, through voiceover, tells May that she was doing what was right, and those who hurt her must pay the price. And I think that sounds like a Verilyn origin story, if I ever heard one.
It does. It also reminded me of the John Mulvaney meme. Do you know who John Mulvaney is? Have you ever seen this meme before?
Not.
All right, he's like a stand-up comedian / he used to write for Saturday Night Live. And his memes like circulate Tumblr a lot. And so it just reminded me of this one skit he was doing where he's like, hey, do you want me to kill that guy for you? Because it sounds like he sucks and I would totally kill that guy for you. Like smiling and like with glee. Like that's I in this scene. She's like, those people suck. You want me to kill them for you? Like that's I. She has John Mulvaney energy in this scene when she's like going back into the restaurant. And also, like, I just wanted to point out, which made me laugh because I've seen this meme a million times. And then other thing I wanted to point out is like the voiceover. Again, it's I's journal entry. She's not telling May this while they're sitting in the car. This is I recounting to future May what was going through her head when she did this. Because later when Ploy shows up, May didn't know I did any of this. So she's not explaining in the car what she did. Who knows what she told May in the car, because we don't get that scene.
Okay. I thought she just like told her that part and then just didn't tell her the rest of it.
No, because then May would be like, what do you mean? What the fuck did you do?
That's what okay, all right. I believe that's in my notes. This is the journal
entry. I don't know what the hell she
so I was like,
me.
why would you not question that? That's very ominous. Okay.
Correct.
That makes more sense.
This is the journal entry.
All right. So then we see I waltzing into the restaurant kitchen because she just can, since there's nobody there. Apparently the workers are just not around the kitchen.
She's dressed like one of the workers. Who's going to question her? She does not look like a high society guest.
That's fair.
That's the thing. It's classism. She could sneak by undetected because nobody gives her bats and eyelashes. This girl in double denim, right?
That is
there she is.
So she goes in, sizes up the fire alarm, and gets another mischievous smile on her face. The first one, since the other one was after the fact. And her idea is to leave fish frying in a pan so it would set off the smoke alarm and make the sprinklers turn on. At least I'm hoping that was her plan, not to actually burn down the building, which was definitely a possibility.
That's why she looked at the ceiling.
My question here is, though, why did she think that this was good at getting back at the terrible Twosome?
Okay, so I have an idea about why this probably happened, and it all comes back to classism and money and stuff. But I think bottom line is that her hope is that the fancy women with fancy hair and fancy clothes will freak out if they get water on them. So that's the goal. But to your point, I think you're getting at, like, why did she think this would harm the terrible Twosome if this is happening in the kitchen? And they're not in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what is happening here is that I is used to living in an environment with ancient infrastructure, okay? Where when one smoke detector goes off, all the sprinklers in the building go off. So I think she thought that if she set off the smoke alarms in the kitchen where they're not in the kitchen. So they're never going to know what's going on in the kitchen, right? Including Ploy and her staff. We're not in the kitchen because nobody's supposed to be operating the kitchen right now. It's not open. So she's like, if I set off the smoke detector in here, it'll trigger the fire alarms everywhere and they're going to get rained on sitting out there and they'll never see it coming. I think that's her plan. But she wasn't like, and who knows if that actually happened or not, because Ploy smells it and then goes in there. It could have set off all the fire alarms, sprinklers.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. We just see what happens in the kitchen because they just happen to go in the kitchen because they smell it. And then I don't think I was planning on A, CCTV footage in here, and then B, them going into the kitchen to check it out because they smelled the smoke. Because she was assuming probably they'd be far enough away that they wouldn't, and everybody would just get rained on. I think that was her plan.
Considering the bathrooms are so far away, who knows how far away the kitchen
Right,
is?
exactly. Like, who the fuck knows?
But I would like to point out that May literally said she didn't want to cause a mess for Ploy at the restaurant.
Right, and so if I's plan was like sprinklers go off everywhere, that would have drowned everything in the restaurant. And as we already saw that, like, from just the brunch scene, Ploy already had like flowers out and tables set up, and so it potentially is damaging everything in Ploy's restaurant if all the sprinklers do go off and not just the ones in the kitchen.
So like here, she's hurting Ploy the most.
Correct. But I don't think I cares because she's pissed off at Ploy because Ploy didn't do anything when May was being attacked. In I's brain, they're all guilty, right? This is a pretty extremist viewpoint she has right now. Like, yeah, she's defending May, but also she's being really extreme in her thinking because she's using her street smarts to get back at them because she doesn't have the power and money to outmaneuver them socially. So she's like, I'm just going to have it literally rain on you because I can't have it figuratively rain on you with money. So fuck you and your wet hair. But she's definitely not thinking about the bigger picture, which is Ploy's restaurant, the aftermath cleanup, the fact that Ploy gets hit the most by this. But she's also pissed off at Ploy for literally doing nothing while May was being attacked. Anyway.
So like you said, they notice that something's burning and they go into the kitchen, and that's when the sprinklers turn on. I love how they wait. The sprinklers were in on it, and they wait until all three of them make it to the kitchen to finally go off.
Okay, and I love this because they come in and we watch them come in, and then the scene we get of them in the rain is from like the CCTV camera that Ploy is going to use as evidence against I later. And like the way they had the actors blocked was interesting because they like had them come in and stand in one spot and they don't move. They just stand in the spot and they like just move with their arms. And the music choice for this scene is like the song they never play again in Pluto. And it sounds like American disco music to me because it's got that like that beat. And then so we get this cut from the CCTV footage with the music. To me, it just looks like they're having a disco dance in the kitchen because they're just like doing this with their hands and they're like not running away. And it just throws me off every time I watch this scene. Do yourself a favor if you're familiar with like disco music, like staying alive, like they're dancing. It just looks like they're dancing in a disco right now because of the music. It just throws me off every time.
I have to go rewatch it.
I gotta go rewatch.
Oh my god!
Particularly the CCTV angle. It just looks like they're dancing in the kitchen to disco music.
It also shows that they have no survival instinct because they don't even try to get out of the room.
Right. What was this blocking? Maybe it was for their protection if it was actually raining in there. They're like, you're in heels. Please don't try to move if the floor is wet. So it was probably actor safety thing, but it very much reads like disco dancing. And then I love this sequence though, because we get this atypical music we've never heard before. I's plan gets enacted. They're getting rained on. And while they rave in the kitchen, it hard cuts to I and May's getaway car driving off in the distance, like Thelma and Louise. Like they just got away with this crime they committed. And it's just one of the funniest sequence of events in Pluto in my brain. And it just like that on its own just looks like they committed a crime and they're literally leaving. Like it's really funny.
It is. May doesn't even know what they're getting away from.
It's all I. It's so funny.
And like May really just needed to question I a little bit more about why she was gone that long.
Uh-huh.
And like where she went, because like that's very mysterious. Like there's nowhere I really should have gone in this place. Maybe back to the bathroom.
I actually have to pee for real. But also like I think it's a testament to how shaken up May is by the Kasul news. She's not thinking clearly. Because if May was thinking clearly, to your point, she'd be like, what the fuck were you doing? Because you were raging a minute ago. Now you come back and you're suddenly calm. Like, what just happened? What did you do?
It's like, yeah, it's very, very odd.
Yeah.
And like she does question like how would I protect her when I says I will always protect you, May? But she just easily accepts I's answer that it is a secret. And if I say something is a secret, you have to question it some more.
Yes.
Especially when you just found out, like, maybe she's in on something. Like, let's question the secret.
Mm-hmm. Again, I just think May's out of sorts, but everything you're saying is facts.
Okay, so now I just committing this huge crime is like, all right, we got away with it. and is like asking if they should head back to Bangkok. But May ruins her plan of getting away, and says that they're going to stick to the plan, and she will be there for Ploy at the opening tomorrow. So now I's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh shit, I.
And then she, not only is she going to be there for Ploy mentions that I must go with her. Like, there's no way I is getting out of this. Which I doesn't seem too thrilled about.
No!
I mean, she just tried to burn the place down.
I'm of the belief that I fully thought they were going home right now and not headed back to the scene of the crime the next day. Like, I's not a good spy, and she's also not a great criminal. Like,
she is not.
She is not. She thought they were going home.
She does not have a criminal mind.
No.
But that is our stopping point for this episode part. Our big gay energy episode.
Yeah, we are gonna end our recap here to take a break and come back next time to continue on with this episode, because there's a lot going on in this episode. We're getting into the I and May meat of the Pluto stuff, so like these might get longer. I'm sorry if you're sad about that. So let's jump into our Taylor Swift songs for this part of the episode. What do you got?
All right, so mine that was basically jumping out at me is Mean. Especially the line, someday I'll be big enough so you can't hit me, and all you're ever going to be is mean.
Yep.
Mostly because that's sang many, many times in the song. But also because this is exactly what the Terrible Twosome are. Because no matter what, they are mean girls. And it doesn't matter what May or I does. Like burning down a restaurant. They will always be that way. They're never going to see May as a different person or anything. They're just mean. They're mean girls.
Yeah, and someday I'll be big enough so you can hit me. So like May is at the top of the social circle regardless of anything that happened, and she really is untouchable, which is really why they directly go after I. Yep. All right, and then my Taylor Swift song from the Reputation album is Getaway Car, because truly this is probably my only chance to ever bring up this song in a girl love series. So I'm going to bring it up now. It's, it doesn't come up often, so I'm going to bring Getaway Car. And because they literally drove away in a getaway car at the end of this part we're talking about, but also the lyrics to me remind me of I explaining what went down in Ploy's kitchen. So here you go. It was the best of times, the worst of crimes. I struck a match and blew your mind, because she lights the match to start the food. But I didn't mean it, and you didn't see it. No, nothing good starts in a getaway car.
I can't believe how much that matched up to that last part. It's ridiculous. And I just love, and you didn't see it.
You didn't see it. That's I explaining what went down in Ploy's kitchen to me.
If May knew what was going on, she would be saying, no, nothing good starts in a getaway car to I. Like, no.
So there you go. Getaway car. It actually works.
Is the best use of getaway car for this. Great job, Theora.
All right. For Big Gay Energy Award, it's I. We already gave it to
car.
I in the car. I just being romantic constantly. Just I. Because nothing else was really big gay energy in this episode.
No. And then I also gave you the challenge already today. So like we did all of this backwards.
Yes, just like and May and I. We did all of it backwards. What was the challenge again? They have to
tell us whether you agree with Theora or me if the almost burning down the restaurant was warranted or not. So,
was it wrong? Was it wrong?
It was wrong. Anyway, who do you agree
Those
with?
bitches go, listen, these are the kind of women where like you can't talk to them. Things have to personally affect them. So they were all personally affected. And then what happens? Everybody's tune changes. So like,
But she could have burned the whole damn thing down.
She knew it wasn't going to because there's sprinklers. This thing is opening tomorrow. In order to open a restaurant, they have to have working sprinklers and fire alarms and smoke detectors. Like,
yeah, but like, what if it didn't reach all the way? And like, I don't know how those things work. Like, it still could have burned down.
how is it going to burn down from the?
I don't know.
It was just going to create a bunch of smoke.
I have never tried to burn down a building.
She wasn't trying to burn down a building. She was trying to create smoke from putting cold fish into hot oil. That wasn't going to catch fire. It was just going to like.
She's drowning.
It was just going to smoke.
Like she's causing so much issues for Ploy, and like,
yes, she is causing issues for Ploy. But like again, from I's point of view, Ploy was not helping herself by letting all this shit go down. But like, I do understand there's a bunch of property. But Ploy only cares when there's property damage. What? She's going to come back now that there's property damage. Spoiler in the next episode. But anyway, you let us know. What do you think about I's a second attempt at arson? I guess let us know. All right, and we'll be back next time to go through the Ploy confrontation, etc. And until then, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place. Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.